Welcome to the Black Ibis Social Club. I see everybody's already gotten Randy in the comments already, so that's good. Welcome. It's a rainy day here in South Carolina. We had a near miss with a hurricane for you West Coasters and Central people. There was one big fucking hurricane coming our way. And then another bigger hurricane came and sucked it the fuck out of our way. So now you've got a double hurricane, like tangoing across the Atlantic Ocean, which is kind of cool. You know, I mean, I was kind of nervous there. People started being kind of worried about it. And I was like, maybe I should clean out my garage because I can't even put my car inside the garage because there's all kinds of random shit. So I spent a good chunk of Saturday with my wife loading the back of our RAV4 and taking it to the dump where I dumped a bunch of broken dog crates and old car seats and stuff. And yeah, and then it rained all weekend, but no hurricane. So that's it, right? And then here we are. It is September 30th. And tomorrow is October. What's up, Fisto? Can you believe it's already October, dude?
I can believe it's already October. Real quick before we get into anything else, I simply wish to say that pregame ship posting is now canon, and I really enjoy all the Ohio mockery that was in chat moments ago. My home state does not exist right up until it chest bursts out of your soul and kills the crew and chases off a chick with a cat. So yes, Ohio is the xenomorph of states. So you guys need to be extremely careful.
Right.
But anyway, I just wanted to know. But yeah, things are fine. I'm really glad that October's coming up. It'll be nice to have the first quarter done. Class has been going very, very well as per usual. Today was particularly interesting. And there's a couple things about school that I wish to look. John Brown lived in Ohio. He's not from Ohio. Massachusetts is hell. Okay. And my family might be from Massachusetts, but my branch got out to Ohio. Okay. So we're still part of the problem, but less part of the problem. Mr. McGinty. Anyway, chat side, note aside. Yeah. No, but I got a couple things I'd like to talk about this week, but
we got a lot. I think we have to address the initial news. It's kind of irritating. There's that government shutdown thing going on, which is really irritating because, like,
oh, is that actually happening? I mean, they talk about this shit, and then it's like, haha, just kidding, lol.
Yeah, I mean, they're being really lame about it, and I mean, I have a lot of friends, and that work government jobs and stuff, and it never affects the senators, right? It's not like their fucking pay is going to be cut, but it's going to be all these people that are just regular government employees, doing normal things that, like, people, stuff that we depend on, that are going to be not getting paid. I mean, the military is not getting paid if there's no that, and it's never it's never Senator Dick Fuck, that's not going to get his paycheck, right, to pay for his mansion or whatever. It's some, like, Marine Corps private in Camp Pendleton that, he's not be able to buy groceries for his crappy barracks room, or like that, middle rank guy who's got, 2 kids and a wife, and, they're not going to get their paycheck on time because, and it's such a fucked up thing. Like, that's how democracy works, man. That's what we're accomplishing here, like, when you, I don't even want to get into why they're doing it, but the reason, if you look into it, is infuriating, and it's the most infuriating thing, like, what the Democrats are doing. And it's like, it just makes me just want to go, live in a monarchy, man, where at least I know who to hate when I don't have any bread.
Well,
you know what I mean? So
I would just like to be the one to say that I called it. The Soviet Union had a government shutdown on December 26, 1991. And let's just say that was the shutdown for the final shutdown forever. So maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll get
Right.
40, and we'll never
All
have
right.
any
We'll
kids.
see. We'll see what it is.
Yeah,
But
man.
yeah, it's October. You know, I do want to talk about Halloween sometime tonight because not so much the actual holiday, but some of the stuff around the holiday. But before we get into any interesting topics, we're going to talk about the most important topic, which is what's your block total?
Oh, yes, my block total. All right, let me go. I've got the homepage up here. Let me just refresh right quick. Real quick, actually, this is kind of nice. I'm officially over 2,000 subscribers to my Substack, to the
Nice.
Partisan. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I don't really care for numbers, really, and I'm not the guy that says he doesn't care for numbers, but then secretly I go to bed crying every night. I actually do not give a fuck, which is obviously true because my block number is 3,291. So close.
So
So
you got more
close.
blocks than subscribes, which is great.
Yes. This is
That's how it
awesome.
should be. You know,
Yeah, man.
it's like you've run. You know, I guarantee you most of that shit is bots. You know, like
Yeah, right.
were you shit posting? Were you shit
I
posting?
was. I was. I began a John is 100% correct. I was doing a little pregame shit posting too, just to like kind of get the vibe moving and kind of get the kind of get things moving. But I began with a so like okay, we'll just do a little how to shit post, okay? And some of it, guys, is just whatever pops into your mind, just fucking throw it out there and don't give a shit. So I started with make cultural chauvinism great again. I can't hear your not American bullshit over the roaring sound of cheeseburgers, beer, and goddamn freedom. And then the very next thing I shoot out, and this is like one of those rapid fire ones. I haven't done these in a while. Hey Arabs, you're supposed to eat bacon, not fuck it. Uh, I got hey France, you're just French, Lamau. Hey Indians, it's called toilet paper. Try it sometime, you smelly fuck.
Oh,
Now here, this is
you're
funny.
on
This
one.
is funny. This is funny. This one, actually, I'm going to save the one that doesn't have any likes or any, it doesn't have anything yet. That I have, hey, Germans, maybe don't start World War III, you dumbasses. And then I restack some younger. I make fun of Holly Math Nerd for being a jerk. And then, hey, China Ching Chong, shut the fuck up. I got that one. And then this one still doesn't have any traction. Hey Jews, maybe stop pissing everyone off and they won't want to murder you every century.
Century,
That one's got
you're
nothing.
under in you're it's because you're Century, you're underselling it. It's like every
It's got
that big.
0 clicks. 0 clicks on that one. I'm the first click. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting, guys?
Hmm,
That's the one that
hmm, hmm.
interesting. But
Blocked.
anyway, it's comedy. I don't care. Guys, I'm
Substack
not being
selected.
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Judy's right. You forgot women. You haven't offended women at
Oh,
all.
women. Hold on. All right, we're just gonna go. Hey, women, shut up, make me a sandwich. There we go. All right, perfect classic post done. There we go.
Uh,
And then
well,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
restack it. Hold on, I'm gonna restack it. This shit post brought to you live. Hold on, brought to you live on the Black Ibis Social Club at Substack.com. Chris Best's. Hold on, Chris Best's tagging him. Chris Best's favorite. Hold on. Most favorite podcast. There we go.
for you
All
guys
right.
that aren't familiar,
There.
Chris Best is one of the creators of Substack.
Yeah. And also, we're just going to go for it. If we could go ahead, if you guys could just
Like
like,
it. Yeah.
share, restack, comment immediately, that would be great.
Yeah.
Secretly, I would like Chris Best to interview me. I
Yeah.
shit posted him about that like a year and a half ago.
Fisto
And
tags him in everything.
yeah, I just tag him in
He's
everything
gonna have to
now.
plausibly deny that we are not
Yeah.
on Substack. He's gonna be like, no, you guys
Yeah.
are not on Substack.
Yeah.
That's why we're
Never heard of you
also
guys.
that's why we're also branching out just in case Fisto gets us banned off of Substack.
Now, Ricardo,
Just
hold on. Ricardo, the weird one. Look, I said I'm going to go back in time and bring George Washington to the present day because people keep wanting to return to democratic norms. And I just did a lesson today on the presidency because we're talking about government class. And back in the day, like the founders were even debating whether they even wanted a presidency. The Continental Congress, which the were essentially the de facto colonial government, they didn't have an executive, So like when they were coming up with the Constitution, 1789, they're like, but George Washington was such a baller. They're like, okay, fine, we'll do it. So, if you want to return to democratic norms, I'm going to go get George Washington, and we're going to show you what some democratic norms look like. I'm
Right.
kidding. George would be like, no, I'm going back to Mount Vernon. Leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with this.
He
Because,
would like he would come out of
yeah,
the grave and look around
and just go
DC
right back
and
in
just go
and be like,
right
nope.
back into the grave, and he would like
He would just be
pour
like,
gas.
I warned you fucks. Read my speech. Just send that to everyone. I'm going back to sleep.
He just
I'll
poured
see you on
gasoline on
Judgment Day.
himself, so you
Yeah,
can't resurrect him again. He's like, nope, never
exactly.
coming back to this
I'm
shithole.
done. I'm done.
I
Yeah,
still,
exactly. Exactly.
I missed everybody's shit post this last few days because, except that I did catch up on Lisa Kuznak's tiff she had, which was actually really good.
Yeah, what was
And
this? I saw a little bit of that, but I mean, I haven't. I
so
haven't been staying on top of
there
stuff.
was this woman, and she was on this like it was like a humble brag, but like no, it was like an arrogant brag about how great
Oh,
she
my
is
favorite.
because she chose not to have children and how
Oof.
important it is to not have children and be a girl boss and all this stuff. Lisa called her out and said that, she basically ruined an entire generation. She was like a boomer, right? She's like, you ruined an entire generation of her generation. Now they're in, her age, like close to, the 40s, mid 30s, 40s. And they're lamenting the fact that they believed all the garbage by the girl boss party girls. And now they're, struggling to start families way too late in life and blah, blah, blah. And it was kind of a back and forth. And I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It was a girl fight, so we didn't step in
Girl
for it.
fight, my favorite. I love girl fights. I
Yeah,
love girl fights. Those are my favorite.
but the reason I missed most of that stuff was that I said last episode that I'm gonna take I'm gonna start doing weekend you know weekend no internet, just like not really look at Substack or Twitter or anything like that. And I did a really good job of it this weekend. I didn't know I didn't know anything. I just barely looked at my phone. I think I clicked on like emails just to make sure like my calendar was set up properly so I wouldn't like miss work stuff. But then I of course I clicked on it, and the first thing I see is, a school shooting up north somewhere in Michigan, right? And I'm like, fuck, that's why I don't go on the internet anymore. I'm just so like, I'm so fatigued by it. It's just you open the damn phone, and it's like a looking glass. It's like a palantir, and all you see is Sauron the whole time. And it's just like,
Yeah.
it's just disgusting. And like, it's just like, what, I'm just going to turn this off and go do something mindless, which I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but sometimes it's what I need to do, because otherwise I'm just going to be sitting here raging and stuff. And I think I've reached my close to my limit of a lot of nonsense in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
100%. I'm proud of myself this week. I mentioned a few weeks ago, right before the Charlie Kirk assassination, that I was looking to get off the internet and get off Substack for a while, and then they pull me right back in. But I'm proud of myself. I've gotten under 3 hours a day on my cell phone, and the vast majority of that is reading stuff on Substack, and then there's a couple hours, text with my wife and stuff like that. So I've made excellent progress on limiting my cell phone usage.
that's awesome.
I actually got to the point where today in class, to one of my classes, I talked to them about cell phone use, and I have them tracking their screen time. And I have a few kids. I had one kid that was under 3 hours, and him and I gave each other high fives and joked about how based we were. And then I've got kids anywhere from like 4 to 5 hours. I got a couple at 9, and they were like, ugh. It's really funny because people just naturally feel disgusting when they see that they've got 9, 10, 11 hours on their screen time.
Whoa,
And
it's
it's like, you don't even,
Lisa.
Lisa,
We were just
fantastic.
talking
So
about you. I
like,
don't know if you heard
yeah,
us.
girl, hey, how you doing? How you doing, girl? But no, it was funny. It was funny because you had kids just instantly like recoil at the amount of, and most of them had no idea. One of them joked, he's like, "Yeah, I turned it off because my mom keeps yelling at me," and like, He's a smart kid, so it's cool. But yeah, man. No, I get you. You get on the
So
internet
that's
and this
I'm
is
assuming that's part of the whole
bad.
Minuteman
Yeah.
information
Yeah, the
hygiene
digital
thing you've
Minuteman
been
thing.
doing.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
for
yeah.
you guys
It
that are listening at home and haven't caught up with the episodes, or are going to be listening to this later, um, there is a project that Fisto has starting with his students, and one of the things he's focusing on is the idea of digital information hygiene, and part of that is trying to teach his high school children, not his children, but his students, um,
yes, right.
that like what how our brains are polluted by having too much internet, having too much constant information, having too much just digital junk in our lives. And
Yeah.
I don't think that's something that too many people talk to their students about, because it's kind of I think it's kind of a new thing. And the truth is, all of us here probably are listening right now in the chat are probably around our age, between, I would say, between, I don't know, 21 and 40, 55, maybe, right? That's probably a safe age. We're all adults here, right? And most of us grew up with the internet that was fresh and free, and completely unregulated in a way. And there was no reference. Our parents had no reference. Like, I had a computer in my house and it was in my room, and my mom and dad had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
I could have been talking to like 100-year-old perverts and all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
They were just
Hell,
like,
we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't
yeah,
know what
we
we were
didn't know
doing.
what we were doing.
We could have been talking to 120-year-old French perverts and had no idea.
Right. Vampires, demons, all kinds of stuff in
Who
AOL
knows?
chat rooms, because all of us were in
Yeah.
AOL chat rooms. And you listen to uh, people like my wife's age, or, specifically women. Like, I don't think us guys got it as much, right?
Yeah.
But the women, and I'm sure that in the chat they can mention this, it was probably gross out there. There was probably a lot of weirdos, and because they didn't have like the right people like looking out for them, they probably talked to a
Yeah.
bunch of creepy perverts and stuff.
Well, Alex. I mean, are there even any women online like now? Like, I don't think. I still don't think there's any girls online. I think it's still just all dudes.
Unfortunately,
It's
they
all dudes.
are. Chandra
Yeah, it's all
Hardy.
dudes. No, no, she's not a real person. Like, she may actually be like a flesh and blood technical Homo sapien, but any
Yeah,
actual person vanished decades ago, as far as I know.
right. But do you guys like remember like some of the stuff that like we got like our brain rotted with when we were growing up, like rotten.com? Did you ever go on rotten.com?
No, no, I never went on
You never know that
Rotten.com.
that is. So
I think
rotten.com was
it
this
vaguely
like,
rings a bell, yeah, but I don't know.
it was this website where you could just watch like people die. It was just like
Oh,
it was just
what's wrong with
like cops shooting videos, and like it was all like
Oh,
third world shit too. It was like,
so it was
like
Twitter. So it was
it
Twitter.
was, yeah, it was basically like, it was like Twitter
Pre-Twitter.
and
Yeah.
4chan, like of the early internet, like the early mid internet. And
Wow.
you had like, like Indian dude falling in front of a train tracks or whatever, and like just all kinds of fucked up shit. And then you had there used to be these documentaries called Shocking Asia. I think it was a 90s thing, or maybe an 80s thing. And I remember I came across that, and then we were watching that, and this was on VHS, right? It was on VHS, right? And
Yeah.
it was
VHS.
like, there was like a like a lot, not a live, but like a video of like a transgender operation, and I was like, what,
Good
what the,
Lord.
it was just like the kind of stuff that you could find on the internet back in the day. It was like right now the internet's actually a lot harder to, well, it's okay, it's interesting, it's like it's a lot harder and a lot easier. You can get on Twitter and see all kinds of like just murders. You're like, like
Great.
you can sit down at work and scroll through murder videos at Twitter. Like, that cannot be good for the human soul, man.
No,
Okay, that is
no.
that is not good. And then you got these high school kids, and they're sitting here scrolling through like murder, and it's just like, oh, like it's grotesque. And like, so like, I don't know, like it's just different, right? Yeah, like Lisa
Yeah,
says, Chinese workplace safety videos. I remember that kind of stuff, right? The 2000s, the late 90s, 2000s internet was filled with like the most grotesque stuff, and it was always like AVIs. You have to like download them and stuff, and it was
man.
just like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah, yeah.
download this, and it's like a 30-second clip of some dude getting like one shotted by like some like giant lathe or something like that. And you're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, this is
You know what's
healthy now.
funny?
When it
It's funny thinking about this because, you know, now the internet is basically rotten.com. I mean, the entire
right,
fucking thing now, even this podcast, guys. There's murder videos playing right now, and you guys don't even realize it. No, I'm
right,
kidding. But I think back, yeah, to the early 2000 internet. I mean, I guess I'm thankful because I was kind of a good kid. I mean, besides porn, obviously, you know, which that was like, oh my god, I can look at free boobies. This is fantastic. You know what I mean? Which, looking back, is oops, that was horrible. Um, but
you
yeah,
know,
like that like Arthur said early, like the internet in the 90s, huge advantage, all this knowledge at our fingertips. There was a lot of that. There was a lot of that. But in the past probably 15 years or 10 years even, I mean, the internet's dead, guys. It's gone. Like it's not beyond having some pockets of resistance, like our little podcast here and like our little groups on
right.
Substack and things of similar nature. There's nothing. F in the chat for our left hand. Ah, yeah, F in the
Well,
chat.
you
But yeah,
know what the thing is, porn's an interesting thing because I know it's a problem with a lot of people. I know a lot of
yeah,
people have a
yeah, no,
problem with it and
definitely.
that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I have a hard time. Well, I have a hard time like emphasizing with that because I have never okay, I've never been a porn person. And it's really
Oh, good
interesting,
for you,
right?
man. Yeah,
And
honestly, good for you though. Good for
but
you.
it's not out of like this like moral thing. Actually, it's kind of an
Yeah,
interesting story if
yeah.
you want to hear it. So
Okay, yeah. Let's go there. Let's go
so
there.
I'll tell you
Fuck it.
my porn story, right? All right. So there was so I had like no I was I was a high school early 20s, right? I was like kind of a super lib, right? Like a super lib progressive Captain Picard kind of guy. That was like my thing. I was like, oh, I'm a Starfleet Federation kind of person. When it comes to my
Yeah.
morality, I believe in progress, and I was like into that.
Like you're on the holodeck. Let's go.
Yeah, I was that person,
Ugh.
right? I was just an
Yeah.
annoying lib, right? But I was like a JFK progressive. Shut up, Alex. You're a retard. Anyways, but so I was like, women's rights and equality, and it's a job, right? Prostitution and pornography,
Yeah.
it's just a job,
Yeah.
right? Like all the corny, like liberal kind of progressive things, right? And so but I never really like I guess I lucked out because in the early days, like, yeah, you could like find like all the pictures and stuff, but they were like just pictures. So like, oh, I don't like pictures. And then like you could like get the videos, but like you have to like download them. And like I never like what saved me from it was the fact that I am genuinely a very lazy person, right? Like when it comes to like doing computer stuff, I just like lose patience. Like I'm not gonna sit there and like I never like stole music, not because I had like this moral qualms about like downloading music. It was just that downloading music was just a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't want to
Yeah.
do that. I don't want to mess around with LimeWire and all this stuff. And it's just
Oh
stupid,
man.
So I had my
Yeah.
friends give it to me, like burn it on like
There you go.
on discs and stuff. I just like, can you burn me a disc of that? And he's like, yeah. I had a friend, my friend Zach. He was a guy that like, he was like stealing everything from everywhere, on the internet. He was just pirating everything. They're like, hey man, can you find me a copy of this movie? Yeah, he get it, So I'm not gonna be like, hey man, can you hit me
It's a very aristocratic. It's a very aristocratic way you're going about
yeah.
it there. You
And I
have
was
your
like,
minions take care of it
I
for
was
you.
never like, yeah, like, hey, bro, can you like download me some porn video? That's just weird, right? You're gonna ask somebody for
Yeah,
that.
you don't ask your friends. Well, these
You're
days
like,
you probably do, but back then you didn't. Back then you had some class.
so around that time, I was hanging out. I became acquainted with like a group of people that were like, a little bit on the, they were like proto, what's the word for it? Proto like they were Renaissance fair people, okay? I don't like if that explains it,
Oof.
okay?
Yeah.
They
No.
were
Yeah.
like they were like polyamorous people, but before
Yeah,
that like became a thing, definitely
yeah,
autistic. These people were definitely autistic, but
yeah,
they're into all the degenerate things and all kinds of
yeah.
stuff like that.
It's basically a bunch of STDs playing pan flutes.
Yeah, but
That's what
they're
it is.
they're all
Yeah, I get it.
larpers, and I used to go to like this live action role playing vampire game, and I used to
Oh
hang out with
no.
them and stuff. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun, but the people were different. They're just they're real nice people, but
Yeah, yeah.
different. And I through like that crowd, I made an acquaintance with this guy, and he worked in the industry, like the old
Oh,
people like
dun
to call
dun
it, right?
dun.
And he
Yeah,
was like
right.
he wasn't like a performer or whatever. He was like a
Like
like a
an
light
accountant or something.
he was like a light guy or something like
A
that,
light guy.
like
Oh no. Oh
it's like something like
no.
that, right?
That's the
And
worst.
so he was like, oh yeah, like he gave me like, dear, if you guys who are older and are like just addicts, I don't know if you guys remember the movies used to come in these like those big kind of cardboard boxes. I don't know if you guys remember that. Like if you were to buy like a video or whatever, or like a DVD, it'd come in these like ridiculous like cereal box like things. It was the stupidest thing, right? And
Yeah,
it
I think
like
I remember that.
he's always like, here's a bunch of videos. And I'm like, whatever, dude. I don't want this shit, right?
Yeah.
And at one point he like in invited me to come to this party that had a bunch of
Oh no.
performers from
Oh
like
no.
you know and it was like I was like, no, whatever, dude, I'll go, because like I'm party, I don't have a problem, this is kind of cool, I was like, I'm like, whatever, right? And I went, and it was really the grossest, creepy. It wasn't like a weird thing. It wasn't like a party, like it wasn't like that, right? It was like an actual like real party. Um, and but like I met some of these like women that like and dudes that worked in that stuff, and I was and look at here's the important thing, right? This was like super progressive liberal me at that time, right? I had all those beliefs that like it's not a big deal, it's like, freedom is freedom, all the libertarian liberal kind of beliefs, right? Where like empower yourself and that kind of stuff, right? And I I was utterly disgusted by these people, right? But it wasn't in this like, oh, yucky kind of, well, no, it was absolutely in that way. It was more like a god, these people are soulless monsters, like they're like sad
Mm.
and pathetic, they're all like junkies, right? All like druggy junkies, right? All absolutely retarded people. Like just, and I remember I had this conversation with this girl, and I was like, well, conversation is stretching the limit of description, what it was, okay? And I was like, I'm just gonna go home. It was
Just gonna
probably the
I'm
lamest
out of
party
here.
I've ever been to, right? Like every dude was absolutely grotesque and like disgusting, like straight up mutants out of like the most mutant. And the women were just like, it was just disgusting, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of ruined, like I can never like it basically like brain
You saw
rotted
too
and like
much. You
it
saw too
burned
much.
it. Yeah, exactly. I just could
Yeah.
not do it. You know what I mean? It's how
Yeah.
like, you know, after so many years in the military, I hate watching like military movies. Like I just can't stand it because like they all piss
Yeah.
me off because they're all like
Yeah.
wrong or they're annoying,
Right.
or
Yeah.
they're like, I just don't want to like, I don't want to watch it. Like I don't need to see that shit, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like, or like I don't even like playing video games or like you're like a military person or anything. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Did that for too long. I'm good, right?
Yeah. Been there,
I
done
feel
that,
this,
bought the t-shirt.
yeah, but like it's ultimately like, oh, and it's really interesting because it really pushed me towards the direction of realizing something that I always say about like that show True Detective, right? Like the first season, where a lot of people complained that like the bad guys were like kind of lame. Like they're like, oh well, they weren't like these smart people or whatever, that there were a bunch of all creepy like Ledoux living in a swamp with like the Swazi tattoo on their chest and like doing weird occult black magic in like some swamp, right? And they're all disgusting inbreds. When it's like, well, that's how it is, guys. That's how evil is, right? Like
Yeah.
evil portrays itself as like the eyes wide shut, like uh, fancy party, but really it's actually gross, right? There are no really cool, fancy, evil parties with evil people doing things. They might be on the surface, but when you open the door, it's like under the Silver Lake, right? When you open the door, but right,
Mm,
it's like the Jesus or whatever is this creepy loser that's taking a dump. You know what I mean? Right? And
yeah.
it's like that. Like, and you're like, this is gross. So like for some reason, ever since that day, I've like never like had any interest in like, um, it just disgusted me. So I never had any
Yeah, man.
interest in it. And I think in a
Yeah.
way that was like a vaccine because now that like it's so
Yeah.
easily accessible,
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm like, oh, cool. I don't want to look at that, because I don't want to like take part in, I don't want to be like a party to that, if that makes sense. I don't want to be
Yeah,
a party
absolutely.
to that. And I'm not going to support it in any way, shape, or form. And I think that pornographers, and I'm not talking about the actresses and the actors, right? They should be whipped like in public, right? Like flogged, right? I think pornographers should have their eyes
Put in the
gouged out in
stockade.
public. That's what I think
Really?
they should do. That's
Really?
what I think
Really?
that for the just spreading vile evil in the world, because that's what it is, right? They're
Yeah.
if it's illegal to be a pimp, a
Yeah.
pornographer should be felons, right? But
Yeah.
I think that yeah, exactly, Jason, exactly. Quotation
Yeah.
mark.
Well, this is where you get into the, oh, people can do what they want as long as there's not hurting anybody.
No, they are hurting
Well, it
people.
turns out they've been hurting a lot of people quite a lot.
Yeah.
And
Like I said, every
yeah, I
porn
mean,
actress
I'm
should be flogged in public, and the
yeah.
pornographers, anybody that makes pornography, like specifically the owners, should have their eyes gouged out, then
See,
executed.
see, Alex, I'm going to disagree with you here. I'm at the point where I'm surprised you want to leave them alive. To be
Well,
honest.
I said then executed.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
All
Okay.
right.
All right. Fair. All right. Fine, fine. Then we have an accord. We have an accord, sir. Um,
Well,
but
because
no, you. Yeah,
they
it's
do.
just really
They
well.
destroy people's lives. Like they destroy
Yeah,
relationships and families and stuff.
the thing that kills me,
Yeah.
the thing that kills me is thinking about, thinking about. I've been doing government class, and we just got done doing the. There you go, Jason, the classic. Um, I've been doing the Bill of Rights, and I've been talking about American political philosophy, and I one of the things I do with class. Yeah, Brian, that's exactly where I'm getting to. Um, the values of American society, the values of this land and this people are corrupted. Really, this is what we think free speech is for? This trash, this bullshit, this garbage? Really, free speech is Jimmy Kimmel saying dumb shit on the airways, which are owned by the public, that we own as a people. Like, really, this is
Right.
what free speech is for? Fuck
Right.
you. No, no, the fuck it's not. This is
Right.
not what these kinds of protections are meant for. Free speech should be, in my mind, and I'm getting around to this, and like just the First Amendment in general. Like, we need to pause and think about the Bill of Rights as Americans. We need to think about what these kinds of things would look like in a properly ordered world. And the job of the government is not just to protect our rights, the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but it should be life, liberty, and pursuit of the highest things in life that are possible. That's what it needs to protect. It needs to protect
Right.
good things, not whatever the fuck we want. Because look, it's like that meme I posted the other day. Of the people, for the people, by the people, but the people are fucking retarded. So clearly there's just work that needs to be done. There's things that need to be changed. There's attitudes that need to be changed. Um,
Right.
yeah, and this goes into everything that I'm talking about on the internet hygiene stuff, the information hygiene stuff. Um, we live in a hypochondriac kind of world, right? COVID proved that. There's millions of latent hypochondriacs, but the truth is they're just hypochondriac. They're being hypochondriacs about the wrong thing. COVID isn't the problem. The modern world is the fucking problem. That's what you need to
Right.
be a hypochondriac about. all the little
Right.
things, all the little ways that it gets in there, and all the little ways that it pollutes your soul. Like the students I see, I got a couple of students who are, they're at 3 hours. I have a few that were at 4 hours, and they looked at me and I was like, good job, guys. You got some work to do. And they kind of nodded and they were like, yeah, yeah, I can get there. And the guys at 8, 9, 12, they just went, oh my God. I mean, you saw it in their eyeballs. They were embarrassed. And I was like, it's okay. You didn't know. You didn't know how bad you were. But now you know how bad you are, and now you can fix it. And that's the direction we need to take. We need to be honest with ourselves here on this
Right.
stuff and
And
go,
you know
listen.
what sucks is that, like, it's like, God, who spends 9 hours on their phone?
Oh, I
But then
know.
like the other day I'm sitting at work and I worked a night shift, and it was pretty slow and pretty boring on the first night of my night shift. And I sat there and I pretty much watched like YouTube videos for like 5 hours straight until something happened. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh, ugh. Like I just like literally went through an entire phone battery, of like YouTube videos. And I'm just like, God, you can sit here, you can turn on your Instagram, and the whole reel thing is just so like insidious, right? Because you're like,
Yeah,
funny reel, and then you're like 2 hours later, you're like, fuck, I just spent two
yeah,
hours watching cats fall off of furniture.
yeah.
It's like,
The other thing that I've been asking kids is, you spent 8 hours on TikTok. Do you even remember what you looked at? And that's the question that made a couple pause and they go, oh God, what the hell was I doing? I don't remember anything. I just zoned out. Yeah,
right,
that's not real good, is it?
right. They remember like 1 30-second meme, and it's
Yeah,
like, oh, right. Out of 2 hours, I remember like 5 seconds, and yeah, no, that is
yeah,
completely when you read a book and you remember the entire novel, right? And it's just like a full thing.
yeah.
I just, I think because we were talking about pornography and like stuff, there was I did like scroll through Twitter for maybe like 15 minutes today, which is 15 minutes too much, and
Mm,
I saw. I'm going to use this as a segue into our next topic, which is
nice, good, yes, excellent.
where are we if we are on the right or the right? I think everybody's lost in a way. Okay. I don't
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
that the guys on the left know what the hell they're doing anymore. I think that
No, no, they
I
have no
think
idea.
that everybody is in complete disarray, right? I've noticed that a lot of the moderate kind of boomer leftists have become reactionary, right? They're
Yeah,
actually more reactionary. And when you think about it, we have lived in a left of center world really for,
500
I don't
years.
know, 40, 50 years, right?
I'd
Like
say longer than that, man,
that's been the default, right? So really since around World War II, right? Like
at
that's
minimum.
kind of been the default. And for the first time, some of these ideas are being questioned, and and I'm not talking about like conservative Republican, like kind of ideas that were questioned. No, we're talking about some of the core ideas that go underneath, like some of the foundational ideas of the left are being questioned by normies, right? And I saw this. So I feel like the left just has no rudder anymore. It's all reactionary. It's like they're
Yeah,
constantly reacting to whatever like Donald Trump is doing, or yeah, it's exactly like the whole Tylenol thing, right? Look, listen, guys,
yeah,
the Tylenol thing to me is insane, right? Because there is like no, I don't like many years before the whole thing. It's like the assumption is that you should not take any medication in pregnancy unless you absolutely have to, right?
yeah,
Every doctor I've ever known hasn't said, "Oh, Tylenol is okay. Just go ahead and fist it by the jug the entire time." No, the idea is that unlike NSAIDs, which are anti-inflammatory, you don't want an anti-inflammatory process to happen inside your body, right? Tylenol, you take it to lower fever in case your fever is really high, because you weigh the risks of what one Tylenol has versus the risks of having a high grade fever. You know what I'm saying? Right?
yeah,
Like lowering the fever, sometimes a fever can be riskier to an unborn fetus, an unborn child that a mom is carrying, right? Versus the side effects of one dose of Tylenol, right? It's like a way thing, right? And these are things that I, when my wife was pregnant with our child, this is long before Donald Trump or any of this stuff, right? That to me, that was common, like it was common assumed knowledge, right? Like you take minimum drugs, you only do interventions, whether they're pharmaceutical or actual interventions, as a last resort, as an if we don't do this, the side effects of it, whatever's going on, is
Right.
worse, right? I
Right.
mean, I'm gonna shout out to my wife. She had a completely natural birth, didn't take any medications, no
Based.
anesthesia, none of
Based.
that stuff, right? She
Tank
did
it.
it like it
Tank
was
that.
1454, um,
Yeah.
which is probably the most impressive thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've seen some pretty impressive things, and I see impressive things every time I look in the mirror. And I have to give it to her. That was the most impressive thing I've ever seen, right? And but yeah, like nobody told us that. I mean, that's what the
Yeah.
pediatricians and the OB people were saying. It's like, hey, you should always be taking minimal drugs, but even more so, all right? And this is something that, like, the scientist kind of people, right, the scientism people, right, you should be taking, like Jason just said it, he just beat me to what I was going to say. All medication is medication, right?
Yeah.
Everything you do in a medical, like, medical mode is an intervention, right? Whether it's pharmaceutical, whether it's something simple like an incision and drainage, or anything, right? An x-ray itself gives you like a day's worth of radiation, right? It's like a chest x-ray, which is like your basic bitch x-ray, is about a day at the beach, right? It's not nothing, right? There's a give and take there, right? Do we need to do
Yeah.
this x-ray to rule out the fact that you have pneumonia? Absolutely. Right. But I'm not just going to do x-rays on everybody. I'm not going to just sit there in the x-ray machine and Mary carry my ass right into cancer. Okay. Like, you're getting irradiated. Radiation
Yeah.
that kills you is coming through your body. Right.
Yeah.
A CAT
Not great.
scan is
Not
like a
great.
week's worth of x-rays at once. So they're not
Yeah.
willy-nilly. That's why people don't like, oh, hey,
Yeah. You got to be
Tylenol,
careful.
all that kind of stuff. Those are all absolutely, they're interventions. You're putting in a chemical into your body, taking vitamins. You don't just shove supplements into your mouth, right? Like, but the problem is, right? The reason the brain rotted lefties are so about this kind of stuff is that it really has to do with their trans kind of agenda, right? And the reason is that all the trans interventions are just pure medical malpractice, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
uh, you know, taking testosterone and like trenbolone, which is like the steroids for like bodybuilders, is basically scheduled substances, and it's illegal, right? The reason it's illegal because they're bad for you, right? So a male taking male hormones is illegal in our country, right? It is illegal for somebody to give you, hormones, right, to get stronger, better, faster, or whatever, right? Because there is side effects, right? There are
Yeah.
side effects. Increased risk in cancer, blah blah blah. Gynecomastia on the low end of things, all the way to tumor growth and insanity and all kinds of stuff, right?
Right.
But it's okay to give the wrong hormones to a different gender or different sex
Different sex. Yeah.
because it feels
Right.
right,
That's
because
that's what's the word? That's empathetic. That's empathetic care,
right,
Alex.
that's empathy, right? So
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
the mindset, is you can't question
Right.
the scientists and their pharmaceutical companies that give you stuff, right? Because so much of the left's kind of like ideas and stuff all about pharmaceuticals, right? Because the building block of lefty insanity, right? It is at the core of its progressive power. Do you know what it? Do you know what it is? Can you, anybody guess what I'm going to go into? What's the big pharmaceutical that the left will never question? Anybody? Anybody?
The big pharmaceutical they will never vaccines?
No. It's you probably won't even
No.
think about it because you've accepted it as a
Well,
simple,
no.
normal thing. No, not even SSRIs. That's the second one.
What about pain relievers just in
The one
general?
you are not allowed to question whatsoever.
Not allowed to question. What are you not allowed to question whatsoever?
Like if you question it, you will get the most blocks on Substack.
Really? Okay. Well, you got to tell me now because I'm going to do it immediately. Birth
Arthur
control?
nailed it. Arthur nailed it.
Oh,
Arthur nailed it. All
yeah.
right. There is
Yep.
no questioning of the long-term effects of birth control. The second you do so, you're questioning the fundamental building block of progressive leftism. All right.
All right. Posted. Done. Birth control is bad, actually.
Right.
Sorry, ladies, but
So
it is.
we are, I mean,
There,
I'm gonna give you like the simple kind of like Substack brain, podcast brain, like opinion on
perfect.
birth control, right?
Perfect.
Birth control, hormonal birth control, the way it works is it basically tricks a woman's body into acting like it's like the body's pregnant, right? So basically when a woman gets pregnant, the body releases all sorts of hormones that tell the body, hey, stop doing the regular stuff you do. Stop releasing eggs, and switches it
Yeah.
into like pregnant mode, right? Well, hormonal birth control does exactly that, right? But we put 14-year-old girls on it and keep them on it until they're 40.
Ooh. Yeah.
Right?
No, it makes
Now,
sense.
remember, it is illegal to take testosterone to increase your muscle size, right? And your sexual drive and energy and all the positive effects of testosterone, right? Testosterone is illegal, right? But it is legal to take hormones that make your body think it's pregnant for 40 years,
Yeah.
right? It is legal for an OB, right, to implant a piece of plastic that releases hormones called Nexplanon in young girls' arms that's stuck there for 2 years that releases hormones, tricking a 18-year-old girl's body that it's pregnant. Now, I am not a PhD. I don't have an MD. I'm not a scientist. I don't have my membership in the Church of Scientism, right? But that doesn't sound like a good thing to me, does it? I don't,
No.
I feel like we should, like, that should be talked about, like, right?
Yeah.
And they go,
Listen.
oh, it's we've done long-term studies. Oh, you've done long-term studies on Nexplanon, right? I don't know. I feel like that's an issue, right? But you can't talk about it, right? Like, be a doctor and question birth control, right? You'd get shouted down faster than all those anti-COVID vaccine doctors got shouted down,
You get hauled before the board.
Oh, instantly,
Yeah.
right? The only doctors I've ever met that questioned birth control were like Roman Catholic guys that like said, "Oh, I don't prescribe birth control because it's it's against my religion, but I will direct you towards a doctor that will prescribe it, or some nurse practitioner or PA or whatever."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It does.
100%.
And Lisa's right. Birth control significantly increases your chance of stroke, especially if you're fat and you smoke. There's a lot of side effects to it that kind of get brushed aside. We don't talk about it. It causes DVT, which is deep vein thrombosis, which can, in your lower legs, it causes clots that can actually snap out and travel to your brain and cause a stroke. Right. And that's the mechanism of the stroke from birth control. Basically, if you're fat and you smoke, you've been on birth control, it can cause the DVT, which is deep vein thrombosis.
Yeah.
You ride in a plane, for example, and then that's a one-way ticket to Strokesville in your 30s,
Stroke
And what
Town. There
are
you
a
go.
lot of American women, but not fat, right? So, I don't know, man. Uh, without getting into conspiratorial theories or like Alex Jones insanity, right? Um, you can look at the way American women look pre-birth control and post-birth control. I don't, I mean, when it comes to like
Yeah.
in the last 50 years, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you can look at a lot of the societal changes that birth control has done, right? Um, and yeah, Lisa's right. It gets prescribed for acne. So that's how they get young girls. For young girls, they don't prescribe it for, uh, you know, contraceptive, right? Because young girls aren't having sex or anything like that, right? But they have acne, so they prescribe hormonal birth control under the guise of acne therapy, right? Which, yeah, it does work in some cases, right? But once again, it works because it changes the hormones in your body, right? So then
Yeah.
that itself is proof that you know there's some
Yeah.
effects to it, right? I've
Yeah.
heard some like kind of schizo things. I don't know. I can't say that they're right or wrong. Where one of the things about one of the kind of like like okay, they've done studies, right, where they've done like blind studies where they've taken like some girl and they took like 10 dudes and they had the guys work out in their t-shirts to where they're sweating, right? They're sweating in their t-shirts and then they gave the girl like the smelly shirts to smell after these guys were at the gym, and they would say, "Oh, this guy's attractive or not based on the smell alone," right? And one of the things that they did in those studies was that out of those 10 men, several of them were like cousins and brothers and dads, right? And across the board, the woman rejected her family, right? Because there's like a hormonal pheromonal like encoding of like so to avoid incest, right? It's like a genetic thing to avoid it, right? So she
Right.
found like that smell the least attract like that body odor the least attractive, right? And they tend to like choose actually like the fittest healthiest people, just by smell alone, which is really cool when you think about it. I mean, animals do everything by smell, right? And
Right.
what so there's all kinds of effects like that when it comes to hormones and pheromones and like all kinds of like you know weird things our body do. And like one of them that I've read about is that when a woman is pregnant, she is no longer like there's something that's triggered in the hormonal profile, right? Where she is no longer like attracted to like other people, right? Like other guys, right? Because, from an evolutionary standpoint, they know that other guys are a danger to the child they're carrying, right? Because I mean, that's what
Mm.
animals do, right? Animals like the lion is going to kill the cubs that are not his, right? It's like a weird, it's not a weird thing. It's an evolutionary kind of mechanism that you see in nature, right? So a woman is no longer like out there like doesn't feel attracted to other dudes, right? So now if a woman is constantly on birth control and her body constantly thinks it's pregnant, what is the possibility that has some, I don't know, aggressive turnoff against males in general? You know what I mean? Which might be at the core or a contributing factor towards our like kind of horrendous inner gender wars that we're dealing with right now. I don't know, maybe, right? Alex Jones level stuff, right? But I think it's reasonable to think about, right?
Yeah.
you know
No, it definitely is. If we can segue into another topic that I wanted to bring up, this whole thing, I don't think it is conspiratorial because it points to the wider sickness, the wider problem with the modern world. And I'd like to recommend a book. Can I recommend a book, Alex? Can I
yeah, let's
recommend a
talk
book?
about that. We're going to talk about that, yeah,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
So this is a nice segue into this. Um, I think last week it came out, but Paul Kingsnorth, a writer that lives in Western Ireland, published a book called Against the Machine.
On Substack. He's on Substack.
Yes, he is on Substack.
And he's an Orthodox Christian. I did not know that.
Yeah, which is interesting. Apparently, he got started as a lefty environmentalist, and has found himself in Eastern Orthodoxy. And I've heard of his writings before, and I've seen other people talk about him. Very reactionary guy. This is my first work that I've read deeply by him, and it strikes me as basically a Ted Kaczynski that didn't get MK Ultra'd and found Christ, if that kind of makes sense. It's a very, very smart book. It's an incredibly well written and very clearly argued book. I dare say that it, and this is speaking completely as a layman, guys. I'm not a philosopher. I'm not a proper anything. I'm just a high school teacher that screams and yells about shit all day, right? I could see this becoming kind of a 21st century Mere Christianity. Again, I haven't finished it yet. I'm only about halfway through. But something I wanted to offer, and this is something I've been trying to talk about at school and see what my kids talk about it or what they think about it. And this is part of the book, but the machine is basically our societal urge or our societal drive to create a top-down organized civilization. And in a lot of ways, it's the story of the Tower of Babel over and over and over again. He makes a very good argument that the pharaohs of Egypt were the original machine civilization, where it is a perfectly organized, perfectly ordered, perfectly run system. And with the explosion of technology and the detachment from God and culture in the Enlightenment, with London being the first world city, the first city in this mold, you see the machine civilization, you see the technological machine civilization spreading itself across the globe. And I'm going to read one little excerpt from the book. I'm going to kind of chop it up here a little bit just to kind of contribute to the discussion here. But he talks about the 4 things that make up the machine culture and the 4 things that make up the more traditional culture. And I think this is very useful, especially with what you were just talking about with birth control and everything else. The anti-culture of the machine brings with it its own values. They supersede the values of the pre-technological age, and they spring from the need and the drive of the machine itself. We could call them the 4 S's. Number 1, science, where we come from. Science can offer us a non-mythic version of the story and assert a claim as to the true, i.e. measurable, nature of reality. 2, the self, who we are. The highest good is to serve the self and ensure its longevity. 3, sex, what we do, both the highest means of sacral pleasure and through public expressions of sexuality, quote unquote, an affirmation of individual identity. 4, the screen, where we are going. The screen is both our main source of distraction from reality and the interface by which we are directed into the coming post-human reality of the machine. So there's that. And then here's what he considers I'm backing up a little bit in the book. This is what he calls sort of the basics of culture, the original culture. As a result, human culture is in the process of being consumed by the machine. Something organic is being superseded by something planned, something natural by something technological. This is the anti-culture of the machine, and it supersedes and replaces the values on which older societies the world over are based. At the risk of gross generalization, I think we can boil those older values down into a simple formula. I call it the 4 Ps. 1, the past, where a culture comes from, its history and ancestry. 2, people, who a culture is, a sense of being a people. 3, place, where a culture is, nature in its local and particular manifestation. 4, prayer, where a culture is going, its religious tradition, which relates to its god or the gods. Later on in the chapter, later on in the book, he explains that it's essentially the desire to be a creature as opposed to be a machine. That's what we need to do. It's life versus the machine. Now, again, I am by all means just a layman, right? But this book I don't plan to write or really comment much about anything seriously until I'm done with this book. I have a couple of essays planned, and it's almost like this book showed up at the right time for me, right? Also, you know, Alex, when we were reading Revelation Space,
Right.
and I joked that I'm going to go replay Mass Effect, which I have been. We'll talk about this when we get to the Revelation Space episode. But to anybody who has played the Mass Effect trilogy, Life versus the Machine, that is the core of the story of Mass Effect, which makes it one of the greatest video games of all fucking time. And in a lot of ways, it's almost like, oh shit, I've been waiting to read this book my whole life. Huh. That's the experience I'm having reading it. So really, I would really recommend every listener, everybody should take a look and consider this for themselves. I don't know where it's going to end. I have a sense that it's going to end with a very Christian call to repentance and things of that nature, which is what I'm hoping for. But so far, his what's the word I'm looking for? His diagnosis of the problem, I think, is spot on. And it really has framed a lot of the thinking. It's framed a lot of the things that I've begun to consider, especially over the past, we'll say 4 or 5 years. So,
Right.
but yeah, man.
Well, we're definitely going to do an episode on it. I'm actually looking forward to starting to read it. I'm almost done with the novel I'm reading right now.
Nice.
And the machine's sitting in my to read pile. It's next up. I mean, I'm the one that came across it last week when it came out, and I'm like, to me, I'm like, is this a 21st century, younger, kind of like The Forest, basically?
It's much more accessible than Younger. That's why I compare him to C.S. Lewis. It's very accessible. It's a pleasure to read. It's a pleasure to read. I've been reading a couple chapters every night before I go to bed, and it's just, I want to read it. It's right. Picture Neuromancer without the drug vibe. Like, you want to read it. You're just like, yeah, I want to see what happens next. What's he talking about next?
When I pick it up. Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to have some. That's actually interesting about the S's, right? I just while you were reading that, something popped in my mind, because we kind of got onto the topic of sex stuff all of a sudden.
Weird.
I've noticed that one of the interesting things, if you look at our culture in the last, through our lifetimes, is the very much mainstreaming of sexuality, right? And you can almost see it in stages, right? If you look at 80s like movies, if you ever watch 80s movies and 80s comedy specifically, they're very stuff like Animal House, Ferris Bueller, Day Off, and stuff. It's all about like dudes trying to get laid type of thing, right? And that really kind of kept on going into the 2000s. The 2000s, you had a very big revival of that kind of stuff. And you look back at it from today, if you were to pop in one of those movies, or gosh, if you watch Married with Children, remember that show? Like, that's Married with Children, right? It is filled with guys like slavering over women and stuff like that, and it's just very it's very it almost, a lot of it almost I'm all like, oh, trigger warning, you know what I mean? I'm always I feel like it's a little bit too much, from my modern sensibilities.
Back in the day, Married with Children always felt kind of seedy to me, just a little.
But now it's now it feels really seedy. But somewhere around that, mainstreaming, kind of promiscuous kind of sexuality, on the young male side, turned into mainlining promiscuous sexuality on the female side, and that's with the most evil show of all time, Sex in the City, right? which is probably responsible for more cat ladies than any other television show in history, because everybody wanted to be a girl boss, and then you ended up a cat lady because you're not a writer in Manhattan lady, but and then you had shows How I Met Your Mother and Friends. Right? It was just a bunch of like 30 something people pushing their 40s that are like childless and
Yeah.
kind of pathetic, going on like forever dates with people. And then you had, you had a kind of a disappearance of heterosexual sexuality from television and movies. And now it's basically all homosexual sexuality or like weird sexuality, right? Like past homosexual sexuality. That seems to be like the thing right now, right? And everything is like kind of like gay themed, or finding yourself or being accepted for who you are type of sexuality. And it's really interesting that how you can see this progression from like, like, I mean, in like the I Love Lucy days, right? They couldn't even share a bed on television. It was like they were sleeping side by side, and it's just like, well, what's going on, like how did our culture change like that, and what's behind that? So it's very interesting how we're, like, you read from the book, how like we are obsessed with me, like displaying sexuality, right? Like, this is my identity. Who I have sex with is my identity. It's like the only thing that, it's like the most important thing about me, which is really out there, and I never looked at it that way. And now that I'm older and I look back at a lot of the stuff I used to enjoy, I'm like, oh, that's kind of yucky when you think about it. It's like, well, why was I watching this as like a 14-year-old? Like what the hell was like, what was it telling me? Um, but yeah, it's actually fascinating when you think about it. I have a question for you, actually, because this came up as a kind of a topic at work the other day.
Yeah.
How long, because I've noticed, I've been seeing this in like friends and like acquaintances and stuff, and how long do you think people should like date, right? Because there's in our generation, right, um there is a lot of people that are in permanent non-married relationships, right? And they're not married, they're in their 30s, and they've been going out for like 7 years or whatever. You're like, oh, I was my girlfriend for 7 years, right? How long do you think people should
Oh
date
boy.
before they got married and stuff?
See, part of the problem is, and why I am not writing any new essays for the moment, is the sheer amount of reconstruction and the sheer amount of work that needs to be done in order to tear down and clean up and wipe away the scouring of the machine, the scouring of our Shire by the machine. I do not know what the answer to that is. I
Mhm.
would say I would say the correct principle would be within a culture, and I mean the old view of a culture where you have a homogenous group of people that know each other, that share values, that yeah, I mean Jason's on the right track there. If you can't get engaged within 6 months, you shouldn't be dating them. I was about to say 3 months, like at the maximum. By 3 months, you need to decide, are you going to shit or get off the pot? Because the culture should be, a healthy culture is directed towards building new families and getting married and having children and that commitment, all those kinds of things. That's the hallmark of a healthy society. So certainly within months, years and years and years and years, no, absolutely
Well,
not.
like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
What are you doing, right? Like, my answer, my stock answer to people, and if somebody like, this is what I told people in the conversation I've been having about this, is that if you're a young person, like a young guy, like a teenager that just got to college, and you're still in college and still, working, like you're still living in a dorm or like with your parents or something like that, I think it's max okay to date a girl for like 3 years. Okay. And that's what I'm saying, as in like between like 17 and like 22, 23. You know what I mean? Like 21, right? You can date somebody until you guys finish college or something like that, right? Just because there's a lot of like you're still kind of like you're still kind of fully learning and understanding stuff, right? Um, but if you're past college age, a year max, a year
Yeah.
max. Because at this
Yeah.
point is like it does not take a year to know if you want to have kids, if you want to live in Europe, if you want to do this or you want to do this. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
what are we talking about here, right? Like
Part part of the issue too, Alex, and this is one of the things that comes up in King's North's book. He references a bunch of different stuff. It's really great. But there's a book called, I think it's Sibling Society. It was written a number of years ago, but we don't have any fucking adults in our society anymore. That's why
right,
they're dating for 7 years.
right.
That's why they're dating
We've
for
we,
7 years, for
we've
8 years,
talked
for 10
about
years,
this.
because they're not right, because they're kids.
The boomers
There's
failed.
kids.
They did not
Yeah,
set an
they didn't
example
raise us.
for us.
No, they didn't raise us at all. And we're having to learn it late, and we're having to figure out how to be adults in a world with very few adults. This is something I've learned over the years, much to my chagrin. But when it comes to marriage, you don't have to be a perfect match. You don't have to be this. You don't have to be that. You just have to be two fucking adults with similar enough values, the same religion, and just, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to make it work, and come hell or high water, fuck you. And then figure it out as you go.
Right.
It's bring back arranged marriages. No, I'm kidding. But in a certain way, I'm kind of not, because
Well,
we've
you know,
made
because
something complex. We've drowned so many kinds of things with technique and with scientism and with technology, because the underlying mechanisms, the underlying fertile soil, has been dredged up and thrown in the trash. So
right.
here we are.
Right. It just, to me, it feels like if you're, I say, oh, I'm not going to get married yet because, I'm still in college. I'm still doing this. I got to keep, I got to make sure I am not tied down yet because I might have to make choices. Like, I don't know, go off for the military or go off to a PhD program to become a doctor or something like that. Right. You don't, that to a certain degree is fair. Right. Because, you know, historically speaking, you had guys like go off to war, and then they get married when they come back, or they do something like that, right? Uh, and then you also want, like, historically speaking, you want the male to become established to a certain degree where they can come back and, like, be able to support a wife and children and that type of thing. Of course, our society is built to prevent that. So
Yeah, our society is
yeah,
built to make money. Our society is built to make money, and that's it. So any
but
decision,
only
any
for some
choice,
people.
any
But only for some people. That's
oh
the
sure,
problem, right?
well
Like
sure,
if
the folks who can then make money more efficiently. That's who it's designed. Again, this is getting into this is why I like this book so much, man, because the explanatory power is it's very potent. The society is made to make money, and it rewards the people who know how to make money, so then they can go make more money.
and that's
You
it.
see what I mean? It's just
And that's it.
it's unbridled want, it's unbridled avarice, it's unbridled cancer.
Right.
That's what the modern world is.
And I'm not an anti-capitalist. Okay, I take it back. I'm an anti-capitalist, guys. You can put that down on record.
Fuck
Okay.
money. Fuck money at the
Right.
end of the day. That's not the point of life. The point
Right.
of life is not economic pursuit. It's not economic gain. It's doing what God wills. And hopefully we
Right.
get to do some cool stuff and make beauty at the same time. But it's not making fucking money. Blow that shit out my ass. No,
Right.
absolutely
You
not.
can see that you can see
It's
we
crap.
talked about this when we talked about the Medicis back in the Renaissance, right? Like you can see that this culture of money making and this kind of stuff is completely diseased because you know these motherfuckers aren't doing anything good with their money. They're not building great libraries or statues or monuments or doing anything of value. There's nothing out of it, right? Like, name one cultural, like, you go to Rome and Florence and any of the ancient older cities, right? And you have all these beautiful churches and monuments and all this amazing stuff, and they were all built by wealthy people like the Medicis and the other, like, Renaissance families and the popes, and just wealthy people, money that's like, would be unbelievable to a peasant in their day, right? And then here we are today, and the purchasing power and the capabilities, the ability, to do something is exponentially so higher than the Medici's had at their fingertips, right? Somebody like Elon Musk or the Amazon dude or the other dude or the other dude or the other dude, right? That we don't even know. They have so much purchasing power and power to do stuff. And what are they leaving behind? Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. I cannot think of one monument in the last 50 years, right? Like I cannot think of one thing where I can go, oh, you should go back to my hometown, one of the biggest cities in the United States, and there's a thing to look at. No, there's nothing. Okay, like even the media entertainment stuff, like the stadiums, are ugly and gross, right? Like, oh, cool, you built another generic sports ball center. You've left nothing. You didn't build the Coliseum. Nobody's gonna go. 2,000 years after it turns to crumbles, nobody's gonna go visit the fucking Staples Center in Irvine, California. Okay, like get the fuck out of here. Like, so what is all this money for? What does it do?
It's for nothing.
Nothing.
It's
Right.
for nothing.
It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. At the
I'm
end of
not
the day, what do we have? What is the Enlightenment? What is modernism? What is capitalism? What does all of this stuff have to show for itself? It's a world full of unhappy people who hate their lives and are spending 12 hours a day doom scrolling Twitter.
right. That's
Well,
it. That's
yeah,
progress. That's
no, it's
progress.
fucking bullshit. Yeah,
Right.
exactly, man. It's bullshit, is what it is. And this isn't a capitalism versus this. No, 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 no. At the end of the day, what is life for? What is the point of life? What is the goal of the short time that we have on this earth? It's
Right.
not fucking money. It can't be fucking money. It can't be fucking economics because, like I've said, it's unbridled avarice. It's unbridled greed. It is cancer as civilization.
Right.
Cancer as civilization is what it is.
Right. And
Whatever.
that makes me think of this Twitter post I saw today. And it was one of those, one of those generic boomer, like no name, like semi-important, like journalist kind of guys, like one of those Krasestein bro type of guys, And it was like a post about like some ICE police roughing up some retard in like Seattle or wherever the hell they're beating people up, Portland or whatever. And he's like, this is what you wanted. This is fascism, blah, blah, blah. And when you think about it, it's like maybe it's not what we wanted. Maybe it's not what we wanted, right? But what we didn't want is what you gave us, bro. Right?
Right.
Nobody wants to live in a disgusting shithole, right? With freaking people Fenty folding and like having like flesh eating bacteria because they
Yeah.
injected themselves like zombies, Nobody wants to
Yeah.
live in a city where you can't walk a night because you're going to get stabbed in the neck
Yeah.
by some freaking brain rods, like lunatic schizophrenic. Nobody wants to live in a city covered in graffiti, smelling like shit, some random dude pulling out his wang in downtown, which has happened to me in San Diego when I was there. Like that is the world you gave us. Okay. You gave us the world where I can't take my kid to the park in Los Angeles because there's freaking druggies like blowing each other in the bushes. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know if I want, a paramilitary police force beating up retards. Right. But what I know I don't want is whatever the fuck you've been giving us for the last 20 years. I know that for a fact. Right. And well, what's terrifying, is that we're going to get to the point, right? If these guys don't stop, right? I'm talking about like the lefty side, right? We're going to get
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
point where I'm not even sure it's a bad thing. I'm actually kind of want this, right? We're going to get to the point where normies are going to be like, yeah, I mean, I am giving up some freedom, some of this hypothetical freedom, right? But I get to watch people jackboot retards all day, so I'm kind of okay with it. You know what I mean? Like you're at the point where freedom-loving Americans are okay with military police stomping the shit out of other Americans.
Yes.
That's the point
Yeah.
we're at.
Well,
And they did it to
especially
themselves.
especially especially when you have uh, individuals in government, and I'm talking about our vice president, who is not afraid to make it funny and is not afraid to laugh at them while they do it. Um, in the court of the bros, it's better to be funny than right. So yeah, curb stomping pink haired retards. Sure, fuck them. It'll be hilarious because they're
Right.
and I mean the
But
thing is
but
and the
you
thing
look
is
at
but Alex, the thing is you don't even have to go like full fascist jackboot on them. You just have to growl at them and they're gonna fall to pieces anyway. You know what I mean? So like
no,
that's even the
you
best
have to
part.
go
Like
full.
you don't even have
You have to beat
you
them
don't
up. You have to beat
well,
them
I
up.
mean, at
No,
some
you
point,
have to
but
beat
like
them
you
up.
don't have to go full on, just a little bit, and like a lot of them are just going to fold and crash, and it'll be hilarious. Well, look at what happened with this Carly Chirk thing. How many of them are freaking out because they're losing their jobs for celebrating murder?
Right.
You know, and it's like this is like the
But
most reasonable thing ever, and you guys are losing your minds.
right, but it's wild to me that you have these like boomer ass like journalists and stuff going, "Oh my god, you're having jacked booted police beat up a bunch
Yeah,
of guys dressed in black with black face masks on that are terrorizing the city. How dare you take away their freedom to wear hoodies, covered their
whatever,
faces, and set businesses
whatever.
on fire? This is
Yeah,
America, guys. What?
Brian brought
Like,
up a good point. Brian brought up a good point in chat. They aren't Americans; they're citizens of the world. If you are a citizen of the world, you are a citizen of nowhere, and so you
right,
don't belong here. If you give up your
right.
citizenship, okay, well, see ya. Bye.
Right. Because ultimately, right, this is what they offer. They offer nothing. They offer dirty cities. No, there's no freedom without safety, guys. I'm sorry to say that. The whole give
No,
me
there isn't.
liberty or give me death
Oh,
thing or whatever. Guess what? You're not free if you can't take your kid to the park. Okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. Like, this is the truth,
Yep.
right? With freedom comes responsibility, right? Like, when you can't take your kid to the park, when you can't, when your kid's afraid of, when you're afraid of having your child walk to school, when you're afraid of, going out at night because you're going to get murdered or robbed, you're not free, guys. You are not free. All right. The Japanese man or the Japanese woman that can go hiking at midnight through anywhere in Japan without the fear of being murdered and raped is free. You are not free. Okay. If you have to
Yep.
look over your shoulder every time you go to the ATM or walk into a gas station at night, you are not a free man. I'm sorry to say that, guys. Okay.
Nope.
So ultimately, right, there is some discussion about like what it means to be free, right?
Yeah.
Now, but these guys have nothing to offer, right? What do they offer?
No.
Childlessness, being barren women with no children, no families, dirty streets, drug use, uh nonsense, just nonsense. There's
Yeah.
nothing positive. They have nothing good to offer, right? So this
But
is what
at least the people telling them off and telling us how good everything is, at least they have a lot of money and they're taken care of. At least our celebrities look good, and they won't even look
I
that
mean
good.
I get
They'll be horrible
I
looking.
guess we have a I guess they can give us Tylenol, right, or something like that,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. There you go. No, man. Look. Have it. Basically, we have to combine.
right, unlimited.
We have to combine Tylenol with the Canadian healthcare system, and we'll just kill everyone with Tylenol overdoses. It'll be great. Perfect. Great
Right,
plan, man.
that's
Awesome. We solved
exactly.
everything.
Oh,
We just solved everything.
give me a second,
Anyway,
bro. Like,
no
laptop's
problem.
not charging for some reason.
Oh, uh oh.
Keep
Yeah,
talking.
I hear
Keep
you.
talking. Give me a second.
Keep talking. Oh God, keep shit posting. Keep shit posting. So let's lighten things up here a little bit, guys, because I can't be all that intelligent on my own. So far, my block count hasn't gone up at all since the episode started, so I suppose that's something. But no, Alex, you're right. Whatever it is they've got, we don't want. Which then we need to think about what it is that we want. And one of the things Alex and I wanted to talk about today, guys, is made to order. uh, Something Alex and I wanted to talk about today is a little bit about what the right or the conservative angle or the, let's just call it normal civilized people. What should the normal civilized people want? And in my mind, I see a lot of people who are concerned about civil war, and I see a lot of people who are concerned about the civil unrest. And librarian of Colano wrote an excellent essay talking about the duty of the state and talking about the wisdom in allowing the government's role in this entire thing to shake out. Librarian does a very good job of explaining, and I think this is a very American value that most of us can get behind. But at the end of the day, security rests with us, and it rests with our communities, and it rests with our families. And we have that responsibility no matter what. That said, I think it's too early to say that the American government, whether federal or state, perhaps in some states it may be too late, but the country as a whole, I think, has resilience that most of us either don't want to see or are incapable of seeing. And we have to realize that the world we see on our phones and the world that gets fed to us by media is not the world as it actually exists. And regardless, guys, civil war is insanely destructive. There's no guarantee of victory, and all of the things that we lament, the drug addicts on the street corner, the schizos stabbing people on the subway, and all the general unlivable aspects of certain cities in this country, all of that gets multiplied 1,000-fold in a civil war situation. So be careful what you ask for, guys. And
Right. The
being
whole thing's
careful,
retarded, to be honest.
yeah, it is. It's super retarded because on the flip side, a lot of people go, "Oh, well, if we don't deal with the left now, then we aren't going to be able to deal with it later." Look, shut up. You don't know what you're asking for. You need to be an adult. Children throw tantrums early. Adults respond precisely when required because they're adults and they know exactly when to beat the bejesus out of somebody and when to hold back. And yes, just like Nightshare said, everybody loses in the Civil War, 150%. Everybody will lose. So anyone that is saying, oh, there will be a civil war or there should be a civil war or we need to strike before they get us, they are not a serious person and should not be considered in any way worth speaking to. Because in a lot of ways, it's online fake and gay retardery anyway. That has very little. That has very little. That has very little relation to what's actually happening
Right.
outside of the outside of the internet, outside of the little internet bubble. And another thing Librarian does, and then I'll end my little interlude here. Another thing he does is he constantly has been bringing up the importance of building. If you are not building, you are not doing anything worthwhile. You must build. You must build. You must be creating things. You must be constructing things. That's why I'm working on this school stuff and this digital Minuteman thing. And I'm essentially working on a project of resilience for where I actually am in my community, right? I like to think, I hope I'm spending my time wisely. And I have to believe I am because I've spent a not insignificant amount of time telling God, thy will be done. So I have to presume that he's going to be listening to my prayers and that he's going to be telling me or showing me or pushing me in the direction that I need to be going one way or the other. Even if I'm totally wrong, he'll still figure it out anyway because he's fucking God and that's what he does. All right. So I'm not really worried about it. But yeah, we have to pause and just be adults about it. We have to be calm
Right.
about it. Because if the Civil War ever occurs, somebody brought this up. I can't remember who was talking about it, but there was some discussion about how on the right, the whole meme, the whole Franco meme, the Francisco Franco meme, has kind of become a thing, and that makes me really, really happy because I see a lot of people who recognize it as a warning. It's not wishing for Franco; it's pointing out this is the kind of shit that happens when you fuck around way too much.
Right.
And
We don't want that, guys.
no, we don't. And a lot of people, what they don't realize is the side you have chosen. Look at who your county voted for in 2024. That's your side. Congratulations. That's how it works, man. Um, even the most, biased, even the most left-leaning stuff that you can see on the Spanish Civil War, at the end of the day, everyone recognizes that the team was wherever the fuck you found yourself when war broke out. And that's how it works, especially in a society like ours. I mean, Alex, think about it. I mean, did you are you living where you grew up? No. I'm
No,
not living
no.
where I grew up. Does anybody live where they grew up? So, like, nobody's living where they're from. We're alienated, we're isolated, we're all over the place. Something like this pops off. Come on. You know, you're
Right,
you're
all
you're
these
not going to be able
damn
to rally
Ohio
up.
license plates, all these damn Ohio
Yeah,
license
right.
plates in my
Hey,
neighborhood. Get the fuck out. Go
listen,
back north,
listen,
Yankee.
listen, listen, Ohioans. No, I'm kidding. Um, Shoot, I lost my train of thought, you fucker.
Well,
You
you
talk about
so
Ohio, and all of a sudden I forget everything, and I'm just Ohio. We're
the
going to talk about the
Ohio,
Buckeyes.
Ohio brand.
No,
Well,
fucking
so I do want to add something
no.
to
It's
that, right?
oh, I remember.
Um,
Hold on.
Go
My
ahead,
my, my last
finish
thought.
up because I want to take it. I want to take it from there for a bit.
Whenever when shit pops off, your team is going to be where you are, whatever team that is. You are not going to rally up with the boys on Discord and put on your furry suits, go get your rifles, and start clapping people. That's not going to fucking happen. Number one, because the internet's going to be gone. I mean, let's just
Damn,
shut that
real
shit.
fast.
Like, yeah, just shut up. Just shut
Brian
up.
dropping the heartbreaker in the chat.
Even where I grew up isn't where I grew up. The past is another country. Yeah, 100%. Brian with the bangers today, man. Him and Night Chair also. I'm really enjoying your comments, guys. The regular guys, Arthur and Jason. Fuck you guys. You know I love you. So, so
And
it's
all you
fine.
guys on YouTube, we see all
Yeah,
your chats on
yeah.
YouTube too. By the way, they're all
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. We got Melody with a couple comments here. Thank you, Melody. But yeah, man. I mean, it's just guys. You got to be adults. Shut the fuck up and act like an adult.
Yeah.
So anyway, you wanted to take something from here?
Yeah. So we were talking earlier, talking about earlier offline in our show prep, which takes about 30 seconds.
Yeah. Prep.
Oh man, well, switch to YouTube, man. Arthur, switch to YouTube. I think it works better on YouTube. You might be able to see it over there. Well, I don't know. You won't see Substack is such a pain, but try refreshing it. Maybe if you refresh it, it works. Well, so one of the things is like, what do we have to offer, right? And we grew up in the cliche, which was, if when you're young, you're a Democrat or whatever, you're a liberal, and then when you're old, you become a conservative, which is just a stupid boomer way of looking at things, right? But to a certain degree, there's truth in that, and the truth is that up until recently, up until maybe the last, I don't know, since 2016, honestly, or maybe even a little bit before that, it made sense to be a liberal because for a young person, the liberal side had a lot to offer, right? I don't consider myself a Republican. I've never considered myself a Republican. I would rather be a Democrat than a Republican, guys. I'm sorry to say this, right? I hate Republicans. I have no desire. Everything that's like moderate conservative disgusts me with I just get filled with wretchedness, I'll even like,
Yeah.
so we get that out of the way, right? When I say the right, I absolutely do not count any Republican up until like, currently, right? And currently is even debatable, to be honest, right? As
Oh
part of
yeah,
the
definitely.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe like if you consider, maybe like the vice president might be considered like
Maybe.
our side, right?
He would
But what I
be
mean is that,
palatable. Palatable. Yeah.
but growing up, what did we have to offer? The conservatives, they offered, well, I guess money, business, and they thought you were stupid if you liked art or reading or anything like that, right? That was the image that the Conservative Party put forth, right? Um, when you thought of conservatives up until the last decade, right? You thought of like those what's that TV show, that Ranch American thing? The whole guy like the boomer cowboy Walker Texas Ranger type of
Oh.
mentality, where it's like the crying Native American and that type of thing, and it's like that's the kind of corny shit you thought about conservatism. But what I really thought about is I saw a bunch of hypocrisy. I saw a bunch of dads abandoning their families because they met a younger woman or something like that. I
Oh.
saw a bunch of these born again Christians take their new wives to Mexico for plastic surgery, but not taking care of their daughters, right? I saw all kinds of stuff from that side. I saw endless wars in Iraq and all the sorts of nonsense, right? What do the liberals have to offer, right? Growing up, well, I saw at least I could hang out with some people and get high and stuff. Right, so in a way
Yeah.
it's a lot more attractive, right? You're like, hey, these are the progressive, interesting, artistic people, right? They're making art and culture. They're interesting, they're like, we'll do whatever we want, um but the more you look at it, where we had a complete realignment of that kind of situation, where
Yeah.
now the liberals are just look gross. You have the boomer liberals that are like, just honestly, just terrifying. They're the most psychotic people you see across. Like every one of these protests is just some like old geezer, like yelling at the get off my lawn, but it's like the boomer shitlib version, right? Like it used to be, I used to think of the old man, like the old crazy guy, like that Gran Torino kind of thing, where like it's like the super conservative racist grandpa, but that doesn't even exist anymore. Now when you see a grandpa, you're like, oh, is this crazy pervert boomer gonna shoot me because I'm married, what I mean, or whatever, because I've microaggressed against something. He's gonna scratch my Tesla. Not that I drive a Tesla, I have taste in cars, guys. I drive Toyotas only. But you know what I mean, right? Like they've lost their image of being cool completely, right? And what do they offer? They offer genital mutilation, insanity, third worldism, like a bunch of college kids cosplaying as Hamas, like doing like an infiltrate, right? It is really, really embarrassing, right? It is like the left is cringe as fuck, right? they're not even like they're not even like they're not cool, guys. It's just like, ugh, who wants to be a dirty loser? You know what I mean? Right. So it's important that dudes on the right, and I will always give credit where credit is due. Right. Some of those online Twitter bros, like Bronze Age pervert, right? They brought in the whole bodybuilding thing to the right. They brought in the whole like you know attractive women thing to the right, all that kind of thing, and they kind of pushed
That whole
against.
attractive women thing. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, that was really funny.
they brought in you know, you gotta thank Peter Thiel, okay? He brought some of that homosexual sensibility, right? Which the right was sorely missing, right? Because what, come on, guys, all right? Like everybody needs a little flair of the gay, right? The National Socialists had it with their Hugo Boss uniforms, right? Like
Yeah.
just because you're conservative doesn't mean you have to, like we need to get rid of that whole like and some interesting, I saw an interesting post and it was really good, is saying that the left is completely irrelevant. They're just really psychopaths, right? They're like larpers, psychopaths, boomers who are brain rotted, right? And now you
Yeah.
have the right, but the right itself, there's the blue right and the red right. And that's like an interesting distinction, right? And when you think of the red right, that is the kind of people that are, they're your boomer cons, basically, or the guys that are like spiritually boomer cons, right? The guys that are like, I'm gonna drive my truck and push coal, and I'm gonna go to the bar, and I'm gonna, wear my jean tuxedo tucked in, and that kind of shit, right? They do a lot of cringe ass stuff, right? And the blue right is, it's like the it's the statue posting right. You know what I mean? It's the right that's like, well, I think we need to focus on art. We need to uh, realize that the idea of the right is tradition and values and beauty, right? That's what right it should be. The right should be about. It should be about beauty. It should be about family. When you're standing at the crossroads, when a young man is standing at the crossroads, if he looks to the left, he sees a bunch of trans mutants and dudes dressed like dogs banging each other and just whatever the hell goes on the left side, boomers screaming at you and all that mess. He should be able to look on the right, and he shouldn't see a bunch of hillbillies, sipping moonshine and like, that kind of stuff. No, he should see like guys that are appreciators of fine things, and he should see a family. That's what he needs to see. So what we need to do ultimately is we need to do two critical things, right? The number one thing to do is we need to focus towards towards the spiritual plane, right? We need to admit that we are never going to fix this place, right? Fixing this place is the delusion that people have had since, the Tower of Babel, right? Every single attempt at everything is just another Babel, right? The communist could not fix it. The Nazis, the National Socialists, the fascists, all those guys, they could not fix it, right?
Yeah.
It
There's
all
no fixing it.
ends in shit. Okay. Even even the successful fascist light type of people like Franco, well, what happened? He died, and Spain became a shithole run by communists, right? Um, because ultimately, when you focus on the material, you've missed the mark at the beginning, plain and simple,
Right.
right? You got to
Yeah.
focus on the spiritual. You got to focus on the kingdom of heaven, on Christ, right? And when a young man or woman looks to the right, they need to see us standing there with wives, children, families. We need to, they need to see art. They need to see culture. They need to see literature. They need to see the good, right? You need to if so, it is more valuable to build up your community, your neighborhood, the people around you, than it is to go out and chimp out about whatever chimping out online is going on today, right? You need
Yeah.
to one of the things that resonated with people about the Charlie Kirk thing, and I will tell you this right now, and I'm telling you this from a normie perspective, right? It probably wasn't even his arguments, right? It wasn't his debates. It wasn't him owning the libs or whatever the fuck, right? It was the fact that you had a decent, normal looking dude. I don't know if he was normal looking, some weird looking dude, right? But just a normal guy married to a normal woman with children, just being chill. That's what resonated with people, right? And then you had some trans mutant, right, murder him. And then you had a bunch of
Yeah.
degenerates cheer on his death, right? That right there is your choices. Am I going to go on the side that is made up of normal married people having a good life and advocating for a good life? Or am I going on the side of the childless 40-year-old nurse that is doing a TikTok dance to somebody's murder? That's simple. That's all. Politics, philosophy, even theology, all that stuff is for the very small percentage of people, right? The
Yeah.
majority of people are like, am I going to be able to have a fucking family? That's all I care about. I just want to get married, have kids, and own a house. All right.
Yeah.
That's what the focus of any government, the focus of any people should be. Our goal, our main goal is to create a family unit and support the family unit so we can get closer to the kingdom of God. That's it, right? We will do everything in our power, right, to do that. Everything else is bullshit, okay? Foreign wars, nonsense, it's all bullshit. The only thing that matters is, can we create an environment that is safe for somebody and empowering and enriching? And can we create the soil, right, that will nourish the growth of the most valuable thing you can have, which is a stable society based on family units that will
Yeah.
raise children for the future and leave beauty behind, even though it's transient, because our goal is not the present, but eternity, right? Anything else is absolute bullshit, right? Any conversation, right? Like, you look at all these conversations back and forth online and you're like, what are you talking about? Nobody cares. Your average person does not care. Your average person wants to feed their children. Your average person doesn't care. You know what I mean? Right. And when you make those people care about your nonsense, that's when you get violence, realistically
Yeah.
speaking, right? That's when things
Yeah.
break down, because you're forcing nonsense on other people. And I mean, if the right does anything, if our side, or whatever we'd like to call it, does anything, right, is that we need to focus on ourselves. We need to stop for a second and go, time out, time out. We cannot become this weird shadow of the degenerate left, right? We cannot just become the right side degenerates in this ever, back and forth on Twitter or online or whatever. We need to go, okay, let those people chimp out over there. And if they cross our line, fuck them up, right?
Yeah.
But we need to be focusing on what matters, which is, you know what? Going to church, building communities around your church,
Right.
building communities around your neighborhood, building communities around your friends. Like, it is more valuable for us to make a friend and share a family dinner with another family, and invite a young person to your house or something like that, so they could see the model of your and your wife's relationship, right? So for older people, older guys my age, right, that are married, and I know a lot of you guys in the chat are married and have children and stuff, right? The most valuable thing you do is raise your children, right? But also have your children's friends over to your house, right? Because your children know what a good family looks like, but sometimes your neighbor's children don't. And then I'll tell you right now, like, you, kids are influenced by other families, right? So when they see a family that's successful, that works right, that prays before, before dinner, that kind of stuff, right? They're going to be like, huh, that's the right way to do things, right? Invite that young guy over to your house, from church or whatever, and be like, hey, this is what a family looks like. This is how it should be, right? I'm 42 years old, and I look at some of the older people in my church, and I'm like, man, these guys have it right. Like, I don't know if he's still in the chat, but there's somebody from my church who's like 5 years younger than me, and he's got a 17-year-old son who's amazing. He serves at the altar, right? And the guy I'm talking about, I don't know if Jamie's in the chat still. I look at him, and he's like 10 years younger than me, man. He's like, no shit, 10 years younger than me, right? And he's got a 17-year-old son. He's serving at the altar, and I'm like, holy crap, how awesome is that? I should have had kids earlier. You know what I mean? But I was brain rotted by liberalism. And like, that is so fucking valuable and amazing. That's what our focus is. And everything we advocate for in a political, right, should be towards encouraging that, and encouraging and supporting and nourishing that exact thing, right? And that right there is what any right-wing political element should be. It should be focused on that and that alone. Everything else is just dust in the wind, is just nonsense.
Right.
And rant.
It's all just get back to that original thing.
Right.
Or fuck off.
Right.
Yeah.
So how about
100%.
that Halloween coming up, guys?
Hey, Halloween. Yeah, man. October is always a fun month. I love October down here.
All right, you guys are you guys ready for me to you ready for me to piss people off?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love to piss people off right now. Okay. I'm kind of over Halloween already.
Oh wow.
Oh, damn, everybody just logged off. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, let me explain.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
So Halloween.
You always dislike everything anyway. So
Halloween. No, I like many things. Okay, I like a lot of things. I like you, Fisto.
Oh,
I like all our listeners.
That's your first mistake. That's your first mistake.
All right. But let me explain what I'm over Halloween, okay? All right. And you might agree with me or not, okay? So, as you guys might know, I'm a foreigner, okay? We don't do the Halloween in Romania, or we did not do in Halloween in Romania that I grew up in as a child. I think they do it now. I think they've adopted Americanisms, unfortunately, right? But when I moved to the United States, I was a little 6-year-old. So 6-year-old Alex, I was one-shotted. My brain was one-shotted, okay? One of the first movies I ever saw in the United States with back-to-back movies were Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands, all right? And I just got one-shotted by the goth girl power, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Like, it just
power level
drilled right into my brain, and what's her name just stuck as a template for
Winona
my entire
Ryder?
like Winona Ryder, but specifically Winona Ryder in her like teenage goth girl phase. And
yeah, Done.
Yeah. So when Halloween came around, my first Halloween, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And my mom and dad were friends with this guy, and his name was Nick, and he was real cool. He was a cool dude. And he used to throw like a big Halloween party, and it was like he used to do like the kind of like all ages at first, and then all the kids went home, and then he would do like he would do like all the adults, it was like the drinking part,
Yeah, the degenerate drinking part.
yeah. And he would do all that stuff, right? And sorry, I got distracted by my dog. But they're like, welcome to America, you should enjoy Halloween. I'm like, I don't know what this is, whatever. So they made me a Ghostbuster outfit. So my first ever Halloween costume was I was a Ghostbuster because I love the
Which one? Which
Ghostbusters.
one were you? Which one
Well,
were
I was
you?
Peter. Everybody liked Peter, right? Peter
Nice. Yeah,
Venkman.
Venkman.
Okay,
Venkman,
right.
man.
Like Venkman was my favorite, right? I also
Yeah.
like Egon, but Peter was kind of my dude, right?
Egon's a good second choice. If you
Yeah,
pick anybody besides Egon and Venkman, you're a little, I don't know. I don't know, man.
right. And it was just like in Stranger Things, Brian, right? So my first costume, actually, I probably have a picture of myself, a little 7-year-old self in my Halloween costume, And my best friend at the time, who I'm still friends with, in first grade, she wore a Star Trek uniform, and I have a picture of her
Oh,
dressed as
perfect.
the Star Trek doctor. She wore the medical uniform, and I was
So a
Peter
blue shirt.
Venkman. A
Blue
blue shirt,
shirt.
yeah.
Good,
It
good
was
times.
Next
Good times.
Generation blue shirt, Star Trek, because she
Oh
was really big
wow.
into Next
Classic.
Generation. Yeah.
Nice.
And
Outstanding.
it was awesome, right? And I loved it. It was great. We went trick or treating and all that stuff, and we did it. And then after a few years, Halloween kind of falls to the wayside, right? It's not really a big deal when you're like in high school. You don't really think about it, and then it comes back, right? In the 2000s, it came back, right? And now Halloween was stopped being about like getting candy and like dressing up as your favorite character, and more about going to parties where girls, just dress skanky. I don't know if you guys remember that, but there was a time. I don't know if that's still happening right now because I'm an old man like that has kids now.
Oh, I'm
But there
sure
was
it's
a
happening.
time. There was a time in the 2000s where like every Halloween costume was like Little Red Riding Hood, but slutty. You know, Alice in Wonderland, but slutty.
Slutty.
Do you
The
remember
Black
that?
Eyed
Do you remember
Social
that?
Club,
Like, yeah, do
but
you guys remember
slutty.
that shit? Right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
Uh,
just Halloween, man.
Right. It was like every party was that. And that was fun because you can get drunk and you saw like uh you saw like all the all your friends that were like usually like more like reserved and conservative dressed in like the yeah, dressed as Winona Ryder but slutty, and it was just like it was fun, the guy costumes are always like low effort, but the girl costumes were like just like I'm a cat, but a slutty cat or something like that, and
Slutty
it's just
cat.
like
Yeah, exactly.
it's cool, so that was the second phase of Halloween in your life, right? Which, ooh, it's a toss up between the childhood phase or that phase. I don't know which one I like better, to be honest, right? Welcome, welcome, Mike, and a rabbi, but slutty, right? So
Slutty rabbi.
that
Perfect.
that's
Perfect.
what that's what the Halloween in your 20s is, right? It's like who can dress the sluttiest and get drunk, and then it's like you're making out with like slutty Indiana Jones, right? Um,
That's just Laura Croft, man. That's just Laura Croft. That's all
it's
that
true
is.
that is just Laura
That's
Croft,
just that's
right?
just Laura
But
Croft, bro.
I was at a party where there was a slutty Indiana Jones,
No,
Um,
that was Laura Croft. It wasn't Indiana Jones. It was Laura
no, it was
Croft. That's
Indiana
all that
Jones.
was. No, it
Okay.
wasn't. It was not. You were not making out with slutty Indiana Jones.
I wasn't
All
making out. I
right.
think my brother was. But
Oh, okay. Yeah. My friend
yeah. I think my wife was at that
Hannibal
party. I'm
Lecter.
pretty
Wait.
sure.
Here we go. Here we go. Hannibal Lecter, but slutty.
That's true. Exactly, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And then and
Jeffrey
then
Dahmer,
you get a
but
little bit
slutty.
older, you have children, and you enter the 21st century adult Halloween, which is annoying as shit, which is everybody putting a bunch of trash on their front lawns and doing the whole competing thing, Like it used to be where like Halloween was like the week of the 31st. And now, like, there's probably Halloween crap all around my neighborhood already. and it's just like grotesque, ugly plastic things from Home Depot. And Home Depot is like just all of congratulations on that, Jason. Like you go to Home Depot and it's like uh just it's a haunted house, and you go to Target and it's a haunted house, and this starts in August, and there's just plastic pumpkins everywhere, and everything is orange and disgusting, and everything's like just hideous, and it's lost, it's lost that like childhood kind of like,
The instant,
like
yeah,
yeah, kind of innocence, and now it's just like um it's just like the decorations have become like grotesque, and I'm into all the goth stuff, metal. I've been into I'm into all that stuff, right? I don't like horror. I like horror. I like all that stuff, right? But I'm just like, dude, man, I don't need to like spend every day looking at like, the nun decapitating the clown and just this hideous clown thing made of plastic. And it's just really ugly to me, it's just like, it's really ugly, right? And
yeah,
it's become about like who can like turn their house into like the most like hideous haunted house imaginable, and I gotta live in that for the fucking next month. And then after that there's like a week of like break, and then I gotta do like the plastic Christmas thing for a month, which is the same problem. It's like it's not about like the actual day or the event itself. It's just about this like overconsumption, where like dudes are spending like $20,000 on like turning their street into just this fucking haunted house. And I'm just like, okay,
yeah,
dude, it's kind of cool. I get it, but God, I don't want to do it, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want
yeah,
to do it. Right. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to like spend like 3 days turning my house into a haunted house. And then like, if I don't do it, then like I look like the fucking Jew on the street at Christmas. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I'm like, damn,
Well,
like,
it's the machine needs to make money, man. And like how Christmas was over commercialized, the fake corporal manufactured version, just like Jason said in chat, they want to, the system wants to turn every holiday into Christmas, into that 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 52 weeks, all year long of overconsumption. And by
right,
overconsumption, it's not overconsumption, it's over harvesting. It's
right.
just we're the crop. We're the crop it's harvesting. And
And
that's what it wants all for this.
it's just like I want like I love the magic of it, right? Like I want that magic back. And maybe I'm like a bitter old grump, man. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm wrong with this, okay? Like I'm gonna entertain the fact that I might be wrong about this. But I feel like when I was a little kid, like you didn't see like I'm not old, guys. I'm 42, so I was a kid in the 90s, right? I feel like I wasn't like face punched by like evil clowns and like skanky nuns and black cats and everything like that until like I don't know, maybe like the 20th of the month. You know what I mean? Now it's like from August on. And if you have too much of something, it no longer becomes cool, where every piece of candy I have is a fucking like chocolate pumpkin or like a demon for like an entire like season, right? Like it's not cool anymore, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
like
No, it
I
makes
get
sense.
I guess like, and a part of me, because I'm a perpetual hipster, right? Like I've admitted this in the past, right? Like I kind of liked it when like, creepy clowns and horror and that kind of stuff kind of belonged to the weirdos and the geeks, like to go back to Stranger Things. I liked it when all that stuff was the the domain of the Hellfire Club, all our Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, right? And I now that's like everybody's into it. It's just like I don't
Yeah.
want to be
I
into
bet
it
I bet I
anymore.
got it. Alex, I bet I got it. The problem is when you were a kid, everybody was still doing the normal thing where they got married young and had kids. So Halloween was renewed every year, right? Halloween was renewed. And the real magic of Halloween was adults doing something cool for their kids and doing
Right.
something cool for the kids in the community, right? And it was adults doing it. But now we don't have adults anymore. We have oversized children. So now they're just doing Halloween for themselves. And,
Right.
back in the day, adults could make Halloween from just the materials around the house. You could literally make out of the pumpkins and like all that stuff. It was all organic, right? Because the adults knew how to do things. We buy plastic crap because children don't know how to make things. So we have to buy it at Walmart. We have to buy it at Amazon. We have to buy all this shit. So
Right.
it's the same old story, man. It's just
Right.
expressed in another way.
You're right. It is. It's kind of the same thing as the Disney adults thing, where like
Yes.
places like
Yeah.
Disneyland,
Oh yeah.
like I, I'll tell you the truth, man. I could barely enjoy Disneyland when I was in my 20s. I had like no interest in it. I'm like, what the hell,
Yeah.
like,
No, why would you go there
why
if
do I
you're
want to, why do I want to go here?
yeah,
Like I
why would
don't
you
like.
go there if you didn't have children?
Yeah, but I love
That's the
Disneyland
point.
as a kid. I mean, I like two or 3 years ago, I took my daughter to Orlando. We drove. I mean, it's only like a 3 hour drive from where I live, and we went down to. We spent the weekend over in Orlando. We went to the Harry Potter thing. We went in December, so it was so cool because it was like it's kind of cold, and it was Harry Potter World Orlando, whatever, at Universal Studios, and it was really cool because not because I like fucking Harry Potter, dude. I mean, Harry Potter is all
Yeah.
right. I actually have a wand here. Like I have a wand, and it is one of those really expensive wands from Harry Potter. It's the like the ones you get at the Ollivander's wand shop, right? And it's like one of the custom wands. And I will give you guys a prize if whoever guesses which wand I have. There's a dirty joke in there, but whoever guesses my wand properly, I will give a free subscription to the podcast. Okay,
Yeah.
and whoever guesses my
Now, guys, it's Alex's wand, but slutty.
the first person to either here in the chat or in the messages who guesses you only get one guess, so don't waste it, right? Whoever guesses my Harry Potter house and my wand character correctly, I'll give like a free subscription to
Yeah.
the podcast.
It's the gay
Okay,
one. The gay one is
and
whichever one's the gay one,
yeah, it's the
right?
gayest one. Yeah.
Yeah, I
um
knew it. I knew it. I got
but
it. I won. Sorry, guys.
but yeah, it was a blast because I got to do it with my daughter, and I got to do it with her eyes. I mean, I did drink a lot of that. They had a bunch of beer, not just the butter beer, but they had like the real alcoholic beer, and it was like super awesome. Last Redoubt, you already guessed twice. Okay, it's not Slytherin. Okay, um, but yeah, like it was a blast, man. It was a blast, and we loved it. But I would not go there by myself or like with like my kid or
No.
something. Like without my kid, I'm
Yeah.
like, that's fucking gay, dude. Like I'm
That's
not gonna
horrible.
go to like I mean, yeah, I guess it's fun on a date. I guess you can do it like on a date, right? But for the most part, like I don't know, man. Like I like Halloween. I like the whole thing. I don't know if I want to spend like $1,000 on like the robot werewolf and like the ghost that comes out and like stabs you or whatever. You know what I mean? You've seen those things, right? Those like massive, scary like things. And it's just like it feels so like so corporate and overdone now, where like it's lost its there's something about it that feels, and then Christmas, and then we get into Christmas, and of course,
Oh God.
our culture
Yeah.
has completely missed the point of Christmas, which is about that one guy that was
That one
born
dude. The birth of that
in a
one dude. Yeah.
manger, right?
Yeah.
I think this year I'm gonna really, especially with my wife and daughter becoming catechumens in the church, I'm gonna really focus on the Christ part of Christmas. I'm gonna we're gonna I don't know, maybe do more stuff around that. We're definitely gonna go to church a lot during that, and it's like a fast period and everything. Um,
Yeah.
but I feel like we over commercialize the thing and we over consume, which these holidays should not be about overconsumption. All right. They should not be
No.
about the toys and like the robots and all this stuff. It should be about, family, community. Halloween should be about, the fun part about Halloween is like walking around your neighborhood and like running into your friends at night. It's like the magic about Halloween when you're a little kid is that your parents let you walk around at night.
Yeah. By yourself when you got
Right.
like, just old
Right.
enough to not care anymore.
Well, we don't walk around by ourselves because it's America in
Well, not
2025,
anymore.
guys.
Not anymore.
Right.
Yeah, that's
But
fair. That's fair.
you know,
Not unless your
Yeah,
kids are strapped.
I remember I lived in San Diego a while ago, and I lived in a neighborhood called University Heights. And in San Diego, University Heights was very near the gay neighborhood, which was what was it called? Hillcrest, right? And we had a bunch of kind of wealthier people living in that neighborhood, and they had houses, and there was a lot of like gay couples, and they did the whole neighborhood did these amazing Halloween like displays, right? But they're all adult centered, you know? And at one time point, you like walk around and you're like, this is just an adult party, you know what I mean? And like, where are the kids? Like, where are the kids? You know, I actually love Hillcrest and University Heights a lot, Arthur. Like, it was one of my favorite places where I lived, but it's not very like family friendly to live there. Um, but yeah, it's like you have these adults spending thousands and thousands of dollars. Some of those like people would like have like movie screens and they're playing horror movies and there's all these like Hollywood costume level like stuff. And you're like, this is what you do when you don't have kids, man. Right? You
Mm-hmm.
basically become a ultimate consumer, right? Which is what the goal is, right, for these people is that in a way a homosexual or a spiritual homosexual is an ultimate consumer because our biggest money sink, honestly, right, is our children. And if you don't have children, well, you can consume frivolously for yourself indefinitely,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So I mean, maybe that's the end result. And I think you can see a symptom of this in how we've over commercialized Halloween and we've over commercialized Christmas. But anyways, that was my rant about why I'm not really that excited about Halloween this year. I also work on Halloween this year, so I guess I'm not going to be enjoying it. maybe
Yeah.
maybe I'm trying to
Well,
maybe I'm coping here a bit because I have to work on
no,
Halloween.
no,
I
that's fine.
drew I drew the
It
I
does
drew
get
the
into
bad
something though,
scroll.
because it does get into something though, because you said that you just end up consuming for yourself, but you're not consuming for yourself. You think you are. The the pleasure of buying something and using it and spending that money on yourself. No, man, you're just a fucking piece of tax cattle. It's
Yeah,
it's it's guys that own Disney. That's who you're really spending that money for. You're spending it on Disney. You're spending it on some guy's stock option, not your
right,
children,
right, right,
which is what you should have. That's what you should be spending it on, not, you know, for the, you get what I'm
right.
saying. You get what I'm saying. But yeah, maybe it is cope. I don't know.
Uh,
I've not done Halloween down here only because I don't have children yet, so it would feel weird doing Halloween. But it seems like it's still kind of normal. I don't know. Maybe I need to poke my head out this year and kind of see what's going on out there. Maybe it's normal, but it's also out in the country. Like everybody's so far away from each other. So yeah,
yeah,
holiday should be about making things with family. Good
right,
point, Brian.
right. That's
But
why
yeah, man,
that's why I really like Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a weird holiday
Thanksgiving is
because
still my favorite. Yeah,
it's
Thanksgiving's
Thanksgiving
great.
is a weird holiday because it's kind of hokey, right?
Yeah,
Because like
somehow it's stayed away more than I
it,
think any other from
right,
this
it's hokiness
garbage.
protected it. You know what I mean? It's like it's hokiness. There's something about I like the whole like fall thing to it, and like
Yeah, fall's
it
great.
kind of has like the Halloween like vibe to it of like fall and like pumpkins and gourds and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man.
But it has it in a very folksy kind of like
Hey,
homey way.
question, just as like a side note, because the discussion we had earlier and talking about what the right is for, I also like the idea of thinking about community, the wider community. And like in my town, we have two major cultural festivals that celebrate the unique geographical and cultural characteristics of where I live. Things like that we need to start directing people towards,
Right.
especially since the couple that happen where I am, they are legitimately a great time. I
I
mean,
remember when you posted all this stuff.
everybody goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, last year was a major anniversary of my town. I mean, you had the planes flying over, you had the vaqueros, you had the black church ladies, you had the crackers and their giant tractors. Fucking everybody came out for that shit, man. And it was
Right.
celebrating the town. It was celebrating the community, and everybody got together and just did it big for a whole weekend. Stuff like
Right.
that, man. Because that is the low hanging fruit. That is the low hanging fruit of culture that the machine will not have kind of gazed its eye of Sauron towards yet, because it's still it's still got to take Thanksgiving down. You know what I mean? Before it
Right.
starts zeroing in on
Oh well,
the
they hate
small
Thanksgiving.
stuff.
They hate
Right.
Thanksgiving.
Well, yeah,
Like
it's all
they
about
hate
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, because their own
Yeah.
families hate them, right? And or
Right.
they're dysfunctional, and
Right.
they hate they hate history, and they hate like, okay, listen, guys, we all know that it probably didn't happen like that, and we all know that
Whatever.
we know that the Pilgrims were crazy Protestants, so we don't like them, but at the same time, it is the history of the United States, and I like the idea of being thankful with your family and friends, right? I think that's a big
Yeah.
important deal. That's
And the
why it's kind
strange
of become
foreign
my
neighbors.
favorite. Yeah. We should like start like, like, yeah, we should just, plus I kind of like, I don't really like turkey very much. I don't think it's that great, but I kind of do like, I like it once a year. I like it for Thanksgiving. I'll eat
Yeah.
turkey for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. It's a decent traditional bird. It's decent tradition. Decent tradition.
All right, guys. I think talk about children. I gotta go feed mine because she's not feeling
Ah,
good. She came home. She came home with a fever, unfortunately.
hey man,
And
go take care of her. Go take care of her. We should
yeah,
probably
I
wrap
gotta
it up
go
here
do
pretty soon
that.
anyway.
She's probably on the couch. I don't think she's gonna go to school tomorrow because she's
Oh
sick. She's
no.
like, I just
Tell her I said she has to go to school. Sorry. Tough shit.
well,
Go to school.
the thing is, she loves going to school, so she's actually bummed about it. Like, I don't want her to go to school because she had like a fever today, and I left work early because I wasn't feeling great, man. I was like, I almost like messaged you and I was like, oh no, dude, I don't think I can do this. But I popped some of those autism pills and I felt a little bit
There you go.
better. Um,
Yeah, man.
but sorry. Not forever Tylenol is gonna be autism pills now, which is kind of funny. But
I like calling
um
people Tylenol Americans. Oh, you're a Tylenol American.
yeah, I actually like I don't take Tylenol because I actually don't think it works very well.
I've
Like
I don't yeah, I've never considered it
I
that great
don't
of a
think it
thing.
works very well for
Nah.
getting rid of fever. I think Motrin is much better. Maybe because I'm in the military. I was in the military for so long, and like you know, Motrin is part of like the standard issue of any Marine, right? You just have Motrin. You just chew on Motrin all
Motrin
day.
at all times.
Like you're like flying in a C-130. You're chewing on some Motrin. It's just how it works. So I guess I'm into Motrin and Red Bulls. Actually,
Motrin gang.
the Red Bull is the sophisticated drink. The most people, most I guess most bros now are into white monsters. That's the drink of the bros.
White
But yeah,
monsters. Go
white monster,
boomer
which
juice, baby. Black coffee. Black coffee
yeah,
can fuck all
and
you want.
I'm a black coffee. Give me a black coffee, a
Yeah,
Motrin,
black
and a
coffee
cigarette, and I'm
supremacy.
good. All right,
That's
well,
perfect.
scrap
That's
the
a balanced
cigarette.
meal right there.
Papa Zin, black coffee. You know what I'm actually drinking today? I'm not drinking coffee. My wife made homemade apple cider, like a hot apple
Really?
cider.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
and it was amazing. She's like, oh, I'm gonna make some apple cider. You want some? And I was like, yeah, give me some of that. And
It's tasty.
it's really good. It actually made it's kind of like what triggered my Halloween slash Thanksgiving rant because I'm
There you
sitting
go.
here and I'm smelling the aroma of apple cider, which is kind of an American thing. I've never had
Nice.
it in Europe before. Um, my wife is a bad American because she does not like eggnog. All right, do you like eggnog?
Not really. I never. It's too creamy for me.
Creamy.
It just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't. It just never appealed to me.
I
I'm
like
afraid.
eggnog. And did you know that eggnog, a little bit of a history lesson. Do you know eggnog has a very important tradition in early America? Like
What's that?
there was something called like so the original eggnog recipes are called had brandy in them, right? There was a lot of booze in them, right? It was an
Yeah,
alcoholic drink.
yeah,
And
right.
in colonial America and I think post-revolutionary America, they would go like kind of like caroling. And these are like college guys from like West Point and Harvard and stuff. And it comes from one of the East Coast colleges, somewhere like that, right? And they'd go around and they'd go nogging, right? And they'd basically like knock on people's doors and like sing and all this shit. And people would give them some of that nog with a lot of booze in it, and they'd get fucked up. And they'd go from house to house, getting twisted on that nog, you know, and
Getting twisted on that nog.
they just nog out, dude, just nogging all day, and
Nog out.
that was like an actual thing. You can look it up. You can actually look up the history of eggnog. It's pretty fascinating. You should teach it to your students.
Perfect.
I'll
Yeah.
find it because I went down the deep rabbit hole of reading about eggnog traditions. Right, but anyways, my wife hates it. She thinks it's the most disgusting thing ever, and I love it. To me, it tastes like melted ice cream. Okay. Um,
Oh, see, I've never liked melted ice cream. I like ice cream. I like ice cream. Like things are supposed to be what they are. Ice cream is supposed to be frozen, not melted. Then it's not. It's not ice cream anymore. It's just.
yeah, noggin
It's
does
just.
sound like a
It's
hate
not.
crime in the South.
Noggin sounds like a hate. I was thinking of the Brotherhood of Nod. I was like, we're gonna take on the Global Defense Initiative. Let's go.
Uh, well,
Command and
I've always
conquer,
wanted.
baby.
So the real like real eggnog, the kind of eggnog you get at the store is like the pasteurized kind. Real eggnog is made with like raw eggs, right? So it's non-pasteurized, and that's supposed to be really good. I've never had like raw nog.
Raw noggin. We're raw noggin. We're gonna chew the nut. We're gonna chew the nut and raw nog it. There
maybe,
we go.
maybe this Christmas I'll do some raw noggin.
You're gonna do some raw noggin while you chew the nut. While you chew that nut.
Yeah, we'll
Oh,
do
God.
that. We'll have a,
People
raw,
are
the raw noggin episode of the Black
the raw
Eyes.
noggin. We should
Um,
call it. We're gonna raw nog. We're gonna raw nog some hate crimes at the July 4th celebration.
well, so many years ago, when I was deployed, I was in Timor Leste actually.
Raw nog.
We were there,
Bro,
right?
bro. No, Alex, listen. I'll drink eggnog if you have eggnog. If we do the 250th anniversary Black Ibis episode, I'll drink eggnog. I'll drink eggnog in the middle of fucking July. I don't give a
Yeah,
shit. I'll do it. I'll
eggnog.
do it.
Raw nog
Oh,
is the official drink of the Black Ibis
raw
Social
nog.
Club. It's like when we put on our Venetian masks, with the beaks and everything, and we go into our eyes wide shut chamber underneath
I
the
was
Black
about to
Ibis Social
say,
Club. We're
yeah.
all gonna share out of the bowl of raw nog. It's the nog initiation. We're gonna get banned on YouTube, dude.
Oh no.
Yeah, but yeah.
I'm picturing eyes wide shut, but it's fucking eggnog. It's raw nog.
Just did you bring it? It's like it's raw,
Got it.
unpasteurized.
Bring it.
It's
Bring it.
illegal.
Unpasteurized eggnog.
You
Raw
can't
egg
buy it
nationalist just shows up.
unpasteurized.
He just shows up. He just knew it was there.
Yeah. Well, dude, so
That's
we
funny.
were in Timor Leste, and it was December, right? But Timor Leste is in the southern hemisphere, right? So it's fucking midsummer. It's like 100 degrees. And this guy I worked with, he's a German dude. He was like a Pennsylvania Dutch kind of German guy. And he's like, oh, dude, we had this eggnog conversation. We're like, we should make our own eggnog. And then we like got all these recipes, and they were like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't make, raw unpasteurized eggnog in like 100-degree tropical weather. And we kind of passed on. They were like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna be
this is
nice.
Charleston tradition. This is Savannah tradition.
I don't know
Deep
what the
South. Yeah.
well, there is a Savannah drink actually.
Oh God.
Oh my gosh, what is it? I know somebody in the chat that lives out here knows. It's called like artillery punch is what the Savannah
Oh
drink
no.
is.
Oh
And
no.
it's like
See,
it's got
I'm
all
gonna
kinds
get.
of stuff in it.
I'm gonna get hammered at this thing, and then I'm gonna
Yeah.
start the second Civil War by taking a piss on Fort Sumter. That's gonna be what happens. Just watch.
Yeah. We're gonna drink
Just watch.
artillery punch. We're gonna go down to Charleston. We're gonna be hanging out over there
Artillery
at Battery
punch.
Park. So I'll
Yeah, there you
actually
go.
talk about Charleston. Actually, I was like, I don't know. I was I was scheduling a doctor's appointment in Charleston. Right, I have to
Yeah.
drive fucking an hour to go to the doctor's appointment. I was just like, oh, I don't want to do it. But I gotta get my brain drilled. I gotta get trepanation done and let the ghosts out. And I don't know why it popped in my feed, but there was like a story about Battery Park and how it used to be like a gay cruising neighborhood. And like,
Oh
if you,
no.
it was all like the article is all like, if you went to Battery Park in the 20th century at night, you'd hear the sounds of sexual abandon or something like that. I was like, what the fuck, dude?
Sexual abandon.
And it's like the article was like lamenting the fact that like gay dudes don't cruise anymore because of all the dating apps have gotten rid of cruising. Okay, for all you straight homies in the chat, do you guys know what cruising is?
Yeah, it's when you're looking for a denog.
Right.
Looking for that nog.
Looking to,
You're looking to do some noggin.
so in
Or
the gay
snoggin, sorry.
in the
Wrong
gay
phrase.
community, right? Back before the interwebs, they used to have like designated places like in parks
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
bathrooms
You just
or
knew.
like
You
you
just knew
know
where to
at,
go.
like the 7-Eleven gas station on like 4th and Diversity or something like that. And if you
Yeah.
went in there and there was a dude in there, well, you raw
That's
nogged,
what you, yeah.
right?
Yeah, you raw dogged
And
it. This is analog Tinder, basically.
right, exactly. It was
Yeah, analog Tinder.
analog grinder, bro. Get your
Yeah.
facts together.
Look,
It's called
it's
grinder.
all fucking gay culture anyway.
Yeah.
So Grinder,
Well, yeah,
Tinder, whatever.
Tinder is
It's
the
marketing. It's marketing.
spiritual homosexualization of straight relationships, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly. Exactly.
yeah. But so that's what cruising is, right? There used to be entire neighborhoods where like if you're a gay dude, you went to this neighborhood and you parked your car and you just sat there with your car unlocked and your junk out, and some dude
Yeah.
would come in and you guys would raw nog and then
Raw nog
they
it.
would leave, and that's what
Yeah.
cruising is. And yeah, like,
Is Mike just finding out? Is Mike just finding out? Our new guy in chat, is he just finding out the glory of Fisto as a teacher?
yeah, Fisto is a teacher. He influences young minds.
Yes.
Mike's actually a real life friend of mine.
Oh, is he? Oh,
Yeah.
Mike, you'll love this. So one of our classes is doing this like college prep thing. So I have had tons of students coming up to me over the past couple of weeks and asking me questions about college, and they tell me, so what is something that you need to look out for in a college professor? And I tell them, make sure you find college professors that don't fucking lie to you, because if they lie to you about what they think about things just to get you to think things, then what else are they going to fucking lie about? And I point out that I never lie to my kids, even if I disagree, and even if you think I'm an idiot, and even if you think I'm ranting like a fool. At the end of the day, I told you what I really think.
Right.
So when I'm teaching you things, I'm telling you the truth, or I'm telling you what I actually am trying to teach you. So,
Right.
That's like just totally undermining the entire, I'm trying to anyway, but I mean it. I mean, at the same token, it's ridiculous to me, the amount of bullshit that goes on in colleges. And my God, that's a whole other conversation we need to have about torpedoing the high school to college.
Right. And so how
the
much of
high school
college
college
is just fake, it's just fake,
yeah,
you
yeah,
get these
yeah,
diploma
yeah,
mills is what they are.
Yeah, sending kids to college these days, it's feeding the machine. It's feeding the machine. That's all
Right.
it's doing. Meat for the
Sucking
machine,
money from their parents.
Yeah.
Well, half of it's not even sucking money from the parents. It's sucking money from like the taxpayer because
taxpayers,
the way the loans
everybody
work
else
and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, guys, we're gonna call it a night. We're gonna go downstairs and make some dinner. Take care of my daughter. And once again, thanks for joining us. We had a good showing tonight. Got about 50 people on here and about the same on YouTube. We're always growing, which is awesome. And I know a lot of you guys, because we do a lot of live joking, on the live chat, most of our listeners are actually on the audio. And I'll tell you right now, this got mentioned to me, but I already knew this. The audio quality sounds so much better if you listen to past episodes on Spotify or YouTube versus straight on the Substack browser. Something about the Substack browser fucking blows. It doesn't do good audio. And the past episodes, they're all edited, right? I actually spend time downloading, editing, cleaning up the audio, fixing all the, the peaks and stuff and everything. And on Spotify, it actually sounds really high quality. On YouTube, it actually sounds really high quality. For some reason, on the Substack app, it sounds like dog shit, right? So enjoy it on Spotify, in my opinion. I think it's a little bit better than listening to it straight from Spotify. Also, I mean, that's straight from Substack. Also, if you like subscribe on Spotify or YouTube, you'll get the notifications and it'll pop up in your feed and stuff when you're like driving and listening. And also, once again, please like, share, and subscribe to the Substack, to Black Ibis Social Club. And if you really love us, subscribe, because once again, it is, we do this for fun, but we also do this because we need to support it. We need to be able to pay for our internet bills and our, our microphones and our editing software and stuff.
Yes. And the
the
eventual
fact
lawsuits.
Right, and the eventual lawsuits, right, and medical insurance for when I get shot for talking about raw nogging. But also, we use StreamYard to do this live stream across Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff, and it's like $500. All right, this license cost me a decent amount of money. All right, so it's not like when you subscribe, I buy raw eggnog. What I do is I pay for StreamYard and I pay for my really shitty South Carolina internet because it sucks, right? So ultimately, we really appreciate it. And like I said, I am working on getting a cool new logo done, right? And one of the future guests who is writing the greatest novel I've read that's unpublished yet, one of the funniest and coolest novels I've read. I actually shared it with you, Fisto. I don't know if you got around to reading it.
No, not yet. It's on my to-do pile.
It's gonna blow your mind. You're gonna be like,
I can't wait. Can't wait.
I think Brian in the chat, he's read it. I think maybe, I don't know if he's
Nice.
read it or read parts of it. He might have, but it is one of the. I'm telling you, when this comes out, it's gonna be like the novel. Okay, for
Nice.
our boys, right? I read like the first half of it, and I'm like, dude, this is so good. I didn't put it down. I just read the whole thing straight through in like a few hours, and I was just like blown away by it. Yeah, see, he knows the one I'm talking about. It involves multiple people doing interesting things, and it starts off with a dinosaur.
Great.
But yeah, like there's a lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline. So, all right, guys, good night. It was a wonderful episode again. I love doing this every single week. We'll see you next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. I know some of you guys are cool, so you live on the West Coast, but I'm an East Coast guy. All right, guys, good night. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. Good night, Fisto.
Good night.